If you've ever watched Oz the Mentalist and just thought to yourself, WTF, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today has the makings of a wild day. We've got a Cloudflare outage here today that is affecting the stock a little bit, but it's more affecting other things like X and some posting tools, as well as some search sites. I haven't seen anything broker specific, but maybe that's happening too behind the scenes. So we'll see how much this Cloudflare outage actually affects our regular day. We do have some news to cover as well. And we have a down market. I know we sold off yesterday, particularly in the afternoon, and it looks like we're going to gap down here again today. So we're going to take a look at all of that. It's a T3 Tuesday here today as well. We're going to go through all of that. We're going to get you all set for the market open. Today's edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful rest of your Monday evening. I know if you were a Cowboys fan, you probably did. Hopefully it went well, and welcome back for another day here today. Now, when I woke up here today, a lot of stuff wasn't working. Some of that stuff has come back online, but it looks like I'm still having some issues with Twitter. It seems to be, or X, seems to be going in and out. So we'll keep you posted on all that. Just be careful in case some of the systems that you rely on don't work here today. I also heard that ChatGPT has been down for some users. So those that rely on ChatGPT, they might have a tough morning, it seems. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Peter is first here today. Good morning, Peter. Good morning. Snow coming here. Lucky you. You are out in Colorado and the snow is coming. Sounds good. Marty, good morning. Welcome back. Richard Judge, good morning. Welcome back. Brent, good to see you again. Welcome back. Brian, welcome back. Judge Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Welcome back. Billy, welcome back. It's good to see you. Dara, welcome back. Yes, that girl, welcome back. Harvey, good morning. Good to see you again. Wiss, welcome back. Kevin, welcome back. Good to see all of you, by the way. James, good morning. Azrar, good morning. Who else am I missing? Big Dave, good morning. All right. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Jimmy, good morning. Top of the morning to you, even. All right. I'll take that. Kenneth, good morning. X is down and Cloudflare is negative in the pre-market. Like I said, I use X Pro and it was down this morning. I have it loaded right now, but I don't know if it's showing me new tweets because I have an error at the bottom. And when I close it and try to relaunch it, I get a screen that says that it's being affected by Cloudflare. So, like I said, unsure if the system is really up and stable at current. We'll see how that changes throughout the course of the day here. Producers locked in and ready to go. Cam, good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Durkis, good morning. Corey, good morning. Archangel, good morning. Micah, good morning. Glass half full, good morning. Austin, good morning. Welcome back. Philip, good morning from Perth, checking in from Australia. Really good stuff. Micah 13 doesn't show up for another hour. He's not going to see your comment. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. Tyler, good morning. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Transitions, good morning. Orion, good morning. Matthew, good morning. Welcome back. Kemosabi, good morning. Welcome back. Darkside Hemi and Scarlet, welcome back. Roostam, good to see you again. Welcome back. Pre-Panda, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you as always. Frank's checking in, our resident race car driver. What's going on, Frank? Harris, good morning. Welcome back. Big Bees, good morning. Welcome back. Big Bees, are you ready for your Steelers to get pounded this weekend? Just wondering. Welcome back. Wiz says X is working for me. Yeah, I mean, it goes in and out. Like I said, I don't think I've gotten updates here. So do you just use regular X, Wiz, like X.com, or do you use X Pro? You'll have to let me know. Glass half full. Good morning. Welcome back. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our stock market today. All right, futures under pressure here ahead of Tuesday's open. S&P futures down 0.47%, Dow futures down 0.74%, and the NASDAQ down 0.54%. As mentioned, Cloudflare also having an outage here today. That's down a little bit in the pre-market. Perhaps that's weighing on things as well. Let's take a look at some cues from last session, however. Materials, financials, and energy stocks recorded the biggest losses on Monday, while communication services and utilities bucked the trend to close higher, setting a negative tone for most S&P 500 sectors. And as mentioned, that appears to have carried over to today. U.S. stock futures declined on Tuesday after Monday's sell-off, and futures of the major benchmark indices were lower and holding lower. They actually bounced a little bit this morning and rolled back over to the lows. The market sentiment remained cautious ahead of the post-shutdown economic data and NVIDIA's highly anticipated earnings report on Wednesday. Actually does kind of feel like the market is waiting for those earnings report. We're going to actually cover that a little bit here in a sec. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.1%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.57%. We do have some stocks in focus here for you today. The first one is going to be Axalta Coating Systems. That's ticker AXTA. That jumped 10.68% after inking a deal with Actionable to combine in an all-stock merger of equals. So AXTA, your first stock there. Your second one here comes from healthcare. This is Molina Healthcare, ticker MOH. That gained 3.05% after announcing a proposed offering of $750 million of senior notes due in 2031. And Michael Burry reiterating his long stance on the copy. Avantor, ticker AVTR, that was up 2.6% as CEO Linger Emanuel bought 87,500 shares worth just shy of $1 million on November 17th at $11.35 apiece. Home Depot is the next stock on our list. They reported earnings here this morning. They fell 0.71% as analysts expect it to report earnings of $3.85 per share on revenue of $41.14 billion before the opening bell. Home Depot did report. They reported an EPS of $3.74, which missed that $3.85 estimate, and they recorded sales of $41.35 billion, which beat slightly the estimate of $41.137 billion. Interestingly enough, from that report, they said that they forecasted more sales from hurricane-related things, which never ended up happening. How about that? The last stock on our list here is Helmerich & Payne. That's HP, ticker HP, tumbled 8.22% after reporting a loss of 1 cent per share for the fourth quarter. However, the company has reported quarterly sales of $1.012 billion, which beat the analyst consensus estimate of $973.687 billion. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart because that is going to come into play here today. We talked yesterday about that 50-day moving average being really, really important. And sure enough, we tried to test it. We tried to close below it, and we could not. In fact, the action in the afternoon will actually go into the intraday chart here. You'd see exactly what happened. It basically ran right up to that 673 level. I have it marked off as 672.99. Basically ran up to that level where we were on the show in the morning, and then shortly after we got off, could not get back above it. If I zoom out a little bit further, you see we actually couldn't get back into the up channel that we've been in as well since Liberation Day. The market then rolled over. It didn't close on the lows. It bounced a little bit off 662 here and closed slightly higher at about 665. But that weakness has returned here this morning. And in fact, already in the pre-market, we've peaked under yesterday's intraday lows. We'll see what happens here when the market opens up. If we go back to the daily chart here, with us being under the 50, this is now we have one close under the 50, excuse me. This is setting up to be the second one. As far as targets to the downside here, this 651 to 653 area looks about right. This corresponds with the bottom of the candle from Friday, October 7th. That actual low down there is at 652.84, so 16 cents off. that 653 level. And then we also have the 100-day not far beneath that at 651.81. So really, if you wanted to call this 652 to 653 to be as tight as possible on that next possible support area, that makes a lot of sense. Again, SPY's currently sitting here at 662.53 in the pre-market. So we're about 10 points above this support level. We'll see if we challenge that here today. Let's go back and take a look at some insights from analysts here. LPL Financial projects that 2026 will be defined by a, quote, transforming and evolving landscape for markets, end quote. A resilient economy bolstered by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is expected to support corporate profits, with artificial intelligence driving essential efficiency gains. LPL emphasizes that hitting double-digit earnings growth will be the primary driver of stock performance, noting that, quote, hitting lofty EPS targets will be key in 2026. It won't be easy given current valuations, unquote. AI remains a central theme, with LPL stating that AI's transformative potential positions it as a cornerstone for equity gains in 2026, though they caution that stretched valuations remain a top risk. Not breaking anything here that we don't already know about. We've been talking about this for a long time, and it's weird because it looks like that CapEx spending that they did on AI that drove all these names up, now that's one of the primary worries. Are you getting the efficiency out of it? Is that money being well spent? Is it circular? Where's the money even coming from? So how quickly things change here. Regarding monetary policy, LPL views the Federal Reserve's normalization efforts favorably. They observe that historically, quote, stocks have fared well when the Fed has cut rates while stocks were nearing all-time highs, end quote. While fundamentals are supportive, LPL advises investors to prepare for volatility surrounding the midterm elections and potential trade tensions. I think our group here, at least from what I gather, I think our group here has done a pretty good job raising cash over the last, let's just call it, most of this year, maybe even going back to April. I know that some people were more affected by the tariff announcement than others, or at least invested and traded a little bit differently. But I would imagine that with a lot of these bellwethers really running up, there were gains taken, especially near the end of the year here. So I think that there's probably no reason to panic so long as you have cash ready to deploy in this market. If you think that there's a bigger sell-off coming and you want to wait for that sell-off to exhaust itself, totally understand. Definitely want to have cash raised for that. That's one of the ways that you can prepare for this volatility. Don't necessarily exit long-term positions in the volatile times. Instead, raise cash and prepare for that volatility and make it work for you. Here are some key things we'll be keeping an eye on today. October's import price index, which is scheduled for 8:30 a.m. The individual and industrial production and capacity utilization data is scheduled for 9:15 a.m. It can be impacted despite the government reopening, according to the BLS website, which I guess was updated here this morning. November's home builder confidence index and August's business inventories data will be out by 10 a.m. And Federal Reserve Governor Michael Barr will speak at 10:30 a.m. All right, let's go ahead. Let's just jump back to the chart here for a sec. We're going to talk about NVIDIA next. I know this is probably what's on everybody's mind. I guess I'll just start right now. Do any of you folks have a trade plan for the NVIDIA earnings? Are you trading it through earnings? Do you have a long-term position that you're looking to either take gains on or maybe trim ahead of earnings? Curious on all of that and how you feel. When we take a look at the NVIDIA daily chart, it's really kind of shocking. It really hasn't done a whole lot since July. Sure, we came in a little bit here in September, traded up to new all-time highs that were just above 200 in October, late October. And now we're basically back to where we were at the end of July. So I know a lot has kind of gone on in between there, but NVIDIA, not really a whole lot different. This earnings report definitely going to be interesting. And I will say, just kind of given the sentiment out there for now, kind of feels like if they don't put up a really good number here, you're going to see some more shakiness, if you will. as investors kind of rebalance their portfolio or reanalyze their own thoughts on the AI trade. Love that. I already got some news here. Cam says he's just holding, long-term hold for now. Micah says holding long for now. Tenzin said, I'm just going to trade after the move on the gaps for the next day. So Tenzin, you're just going to wait out that binary event and then trade the leftover from it. That makes a lot of sense here. So, all right, good stuff. That's probably what I'm going to do too with NVIDIA here. I'm not sure what to expect, Tenzin. And to me, I would say that one of the things to kind of make my success rate better, I would probably also wait out that print. I'm probably with you there. Matthew says he's holding. Okay. Cam says, yeah, I feel like they have to blow out or blow earnings out of the water or the market will just tank. I'm with you, Cam. We've seen some other names here. Palantir, right? That reported good earnings and traded down. I would be entirely unshocked if NVIDIA did the same thing. I'm going to ask, we got Red Dog coming on here today for T3. And I'm going to ask him what he sees here in the charts. But just kind of looking at this NVIDIA chart, 180, the 100-day is down here at 179.5. The last lows here were about 179 when NVIDIA sold off. I know we got that sell-off on Friday and then last Friday. So the last 2 Fridays, the 14th and the 7th, we had NVIDIA bounce. We'll see if we retest any of these low areas there. And then probably 165-ish down here. This is the bottom end where we started to originate this trend line. And in fact, you know what I'll do? Let me actually extend this trend line out a little bit too. We'll see what happens going forward here. Also, if we zoom out here, you'll notice that the volume point of control going all the way back to April or earlier this year, actually just before that, I think this goes back to March. Indeed, it does. That volume point of control down here at 178. So NVIDIA being at 185 here, we'll see where this gets support if it does sell off. If it breaks higher, one of the things we're definitely going to be watching is the 20-day moving average. And then additionally, probably want to get above this type of downtrend that it's in, fairly steep downtrend. So a good report or a trade up here might be enough strength to do that. We'll see how NVIDIA shakes out. Let's take a look at the earnings here, the earnings preview for it, and get ready for some hyperbole, folks. Kathy says, I'm holding. I don't want the capital gains. Now, this is Kathy, I'm really glad that you said that. Let me actually highlight this real quick. I'm really glad that you said that because this is something more broadly that we've been discussing on Happy Hour with some of these mega cap tech names, in particular the ones that have had unbelievable 2025s or 2025 and 2024s together, frankly. Question here is how many people have substantial capital gains that they don't want to deal with next year? That could cause them to maybe sell this position in 2026 as opposed to the end of 2025 here and then have to be on the hook for the tax burden for that. The other thing that we've been discussing is are folks hedging their long positions that they don't want to sell because of capital gains by using inverse ETFs. So I appreciate this nugget from you here. Let me ask, are you hedging your position at all? Are you interested at all in any of the inverse NVIDIA specific ETFs to maybe kind of hedge this in case NVIDIA shows weakness? Let me know what you're thinking about that. Because like I said, that was a larger, more broad discussion that we had that affected more names than just NVIDIA and Palantir. But good stuff. Appreciate you sharing that. All right. NVIDIA's earnings call is going to be the Super Bowl of tech. Who's ready for a Super Bowl here in November? NVIDIA, set to report on Wednesday, Wedbush Securities' Dan Ives says the stakes couldn't be higher. Speaking with CNBC yesterday, he describes the event as, quote, the Super Bowl not just for tech, but for the entire market, adding that the trading floors worldwide will go silent as investors await the numbers. I've said that NVIDIA's dominance is unmatched, calling CEO Jensen Huang the godfather of AI and noting that global demand for the company's chips is running roughly 12-1, meaning that supply is the only bottleneck. So like I said here, folks, get ready for the hyperbole. Super Bowl and Godfather already dropped on you here. Quote, it all comes down to Wednesday night. You're going to be able to hear a pin drop on the trading floors around the world. On the same segment, Deepwater Asset Management's Gene Munster pushed back on the assumption that NVIDIA merely needs to beat lofty expectations. He pointed to Huang's roadmap revealed at the company's GTC conference, where the CEO outlined a pathway to roughly $500 billion in revenue. Munster says that guidance implies about a 50% growth next year, well above the 41% currently expected by Wall Street. These are high numbers as it is. That gap is critical, he noted, suggesting NVIDIA doesn't need to top 54% this week, but it does need to signal that it can outperform analyst targets. So here you go. We were just talking about this. This is Gene saying, yeah, they can't just beat a little. Like, they're going to have to actually have a substantial beat. Maybe not the beat that Jensen Huang kind of implied by giving out that 54% growth number, but this is going to have to be a healthy one. Otherwise, we're kind of setting up for a sell-off. Zach here, this comment, I'll be honest with you, I kind of have some of the same feelings here, Zach. Sounds to me like a sell-off is coming, whatever happens. And honestly, Zach, I think that this is probably the safe bet. God, I hesitate even calling it a safe bet, but I feel like maybe this is what's probably going to happen. Remember, we just saw that here with Palantir. Be very curious to see how this thing trades. And I think Tenzin, you wanting to wait until after the print probably makes the most amount of sense. Golden Greenhorn here is saying that the Cloudflare outage has taken down PayPal, X, and ChatGPT. Okay, so PayPal is one I did not try and use here this morning or even log into, frankly. But X, my X is actually still down. I can confirm that since the show started here, I have no updates on any of those tweets. So yeah, and now we're relaunching it. I get the Cloudflare error. So X Pro clearly still being affected by this. I'll check when I get a sec here. I'll check regular X and see if I can pull content from that. But it appears that this Cloudflare outage still wreaking havoc on other things. And thank you for mentioning PayPal. I had no idea. Big Bees said that Perplexity is also down. So looks like some of the AI chatbots are down here. People are going to have to lean on what they actually know as opposed to having the AI bot do everything for them. We'll see how out of control today gets. Zach saying X is bad in Greece here too. So this is not a U.S. thing. This seems to be a worldwide thing. All right, moving on here. When asked whether a rival When asked whether a rival could suddenly leapfrog NVIDIA with a superior AI chip, Munster dismissed that concern for the near term, saying meaningful competition is unlikely within the next 6 quarters. I'm pretty sure I have some AMD bulls that would push back on that. Ultimately, we're going to have to wait to see what the numbers say to see if there's actual catch up being done here. But I don't see AMD leapfrogging NVIDIA. I do see them catching up, however. Both analysts argued that the AI cycle is still early, comparing today's environment to the 3rd inning of a long-term technological shift. And for those of you that don't like or care for baseball, it's 9 innings traditionally. So we're in the 3rd of 9. Munster also downplayed the high-profile stock sales by investors like Peter Thiel and SoftBank. We talked about that SoftBank one. Not a sign that NVIDIA's run is nearing its end. He doesn't believe that the insider sales are responsible for that. And remember, Tim Melvin has told us things like that too. Insiders can sell for a number of different reasons. A lot of them, especially ones with a lot of shares, have pre-planned sell programs that we just look to draw conclusions from. Analysts project NVIDIA will post 3rd quarter revenue of $54.84 billion. That's up from $35.08 billion in the same period last year. Chipmaker has topped Wall Street's revenue expectations for 12 consecutive quarters. NVIDIA previously forecasted 3rd quarter revenue between $52.92 and $55.08 billion. So there we go. Matthew says Grok is running just fine. Okay, good to know. So that's going to be the AI bot that I have to use here today. It's the one that I have right next to me. So that'll work. All right. And then let's also talk about the Fed a little bit here. Fed's Waller backs a rate cut in December amid the weakening labor market, and he's not worried about inflation accelerating. Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller argued that continuing rate cuts on Monday, continuing rate cuts on Monday, stating he supports cutting the Fed's policy rate at its next meeting in December to manage risks from the deteriorating labor market. Speaking in London, Waller identified the weak labor market as his primary focus, overriding concerns about inflation. Quote, I'm not worried about inflation accelerating or inflation expectations rising significantly, end quote. Those did come from prepared remarks. Despite a 43-day government shutdown delaying key economic reports, Waller insisted policymakers are not flying blind. This is something that we talked about before as well. And I never really bought that they were flying blind. It's us that's flying blind. We're the ones that's not getting that data. They have other means of getting this, whether it be through private entities and so on and so forth. He argued that a wealth of private and some public sector data provides an actionable picture for the economy. That picture, he said, shows a labor market that is still weak and near stall speed, citing private sector data such as reports from payroll firm ADP and surveys showing that companies expect a poor job market for 2026 college graduates. Waller argued that the slowdown is a problem of falling demand, not a lack of supply. The overwhelming share of data I have supports the weaker demand story, end quote. On the other side of the Fed's mandate, Waller argued that underlying inflation, accounting for tariff effects, is relatively close to the 2% target. He noted that despite 5 years of above target inflation, medium and longer term inflation expectations remain well anchored. Also, I'm not sure how many of you folks saw this, but I'll see if I can pull it because I think I bookmarked it somewhere. I don't have it handy here. I should have. But I believe that there was a study from earlier this month or late last month from the San Francisco Fed that said that the tariffs don't cause inflation. In fact, they might actually be deflationary. I'll see if I can pull that here. That wasn't anybody from Trump's team or his administration. That was actually from an independent entity. I'll see if I can pull it and I'll link it in the chat here. I just found it interesting because it looks like Waller is kind of saying something similar here, at least tempering some of the future fears. Waller also pointed to stains on U.S. consumers, particularly middle and lower income consumers, facing record low housing affordability and high auto purchasing costs. He noted that while the stock market is booming, the AI-related businesses driving it account for less than 3% of employment, offering little support for most Americans. He concluded that a 25 basis point cut in December is a matter of risk management. A December cut will provide additional insurance against an acceleration in the weakening of labor market and move policy towards a more neutral setting. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tools projection shows markets pricing in a 46.6% likelihood of the Federal Reserve cutting the current interest rates during its December meeting. I think we talked about this a little bit someone brought up the stat. Brian, was it you? And I think it was 44%. So it looks like we're still right in that same range. It's just fluctuating a little bit. And then the S&P and the Dow closed lower, which we already know about. All right, how much time do I have? Still got some time here before Red Dog, which is great because this will allow us to take a look at another stock here that has actually been an all right winner here for the show. GRR had a huge GRRR. This is Gorilla Technology. We affectionately call it GRR. They had a really good start to 2025. Been relatively flat since April, but this stock late last year when we were on the show here, this stock was single digits in a $3 handle, traded up to 40, still holding here at 12, actually at 14 on the back of some of these outlooks here, and the pipeline growing. We're going to talk about that here. GRR up just shy of 12% here today. Gorilla Technology stock soars on a strong 2026 outlook, and the pipeline grows to $7 billion on that AI infrastructure demand. They reported financial results for the third quarter after the market closed on Monday, and they reported third quarter revenue of $26.5 million, which was up 32% on a year-over-year basis. The company attributed the growth to execution on AI infrastructure, public safety, and enterprise projects across Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and the Americas. Gorilla Technology reported break-even earnings per share, or 26 cents per share on an adjusted basis, according to Benzinga Pro. The company ended the quarter with $110.2 million in unrestricted cash and $15.1 million in total debt. Quote, "The third quarter marks a turning point where Gorilla became a recognized leader in AI infrastructure. Our contracted projects, strong balance sheets, and clear line of sight to scale differentiate us from peers that have been yet to deliver beyond the promise of AI." That came from Jay Chandan, the chairman and CEO of Gorilla Technology. Gorilla Technology reaffirmed full year 2025 guidance of 100 to 110 million. The company also said it expects full year 2026 revenue to be in the range of 137 million to 200 million versus the estimates of 155.11 million. Projected growth is underpinned by the expected completion of the initial phase of the Southeast Asia AI data center project in the first quarter of next year. Quote, "We are optimistic about our revenue growth and in the coming years driven by secured mandates, including our recently announced $1.4 billion AI data center contract in Southeast Asia, as well as ongoing deployments and a robust pipeline." Gorilla Technology's pipeline is currently over $7 billion, which has increased largely due to advanced stage AI and GPU infrastructure opportunities in key markets. So there we go. Looks like they are saying that the future is going to be bright. And after a pretty good year here, we'll see how 2026 treats the stock that made some pretty good rounds around on this show. All right. Next here, we're going to talk about, I think the article that I'm about to talk about calls this the elephant in the room. Here's SanDisk, which is just, you want to talk about a stock darling. A lot of these memory stocks just absolutely insane. SanDisk, probably the craziest of all of them. Here is SanDisk here. SanDisk Corporation is on the brink of a significant milestone with its rapid growth potentially propelling it into the S&P 500 index, market analyst said. This could potentially hinder the inclusion of strategy. Michael Saylor might be in trouble here. SanDisk's remarkable growth in 2025 has made it an elephant in the S&P small cap index, potentially leading to its promotion to the S&P 500. Melissa Roberts, an analyst at Stephens Incorporated, told MarketWatch, SanDisk's current market cap stands around $40 billion, significantly surpassing its peers in the small cap index. Roberts highlighted that this could pose a challenge for Strategy's inclusion in S&P 500. Strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, ticker MSTR, sometimes affectionately called Mr. by our upcoming guest here, is also newly eligible for S&P 500 inclusion this quarter. However, a SanDisk's substantial impact on the small cap index could prioritize its inclusion over Strategies. Roberts pointed out that the S&P Dow Jones Indices allows for quarterly index rebalancing, with the next round of updates scheduled for December 5th. SanDisk's 585% rally over the past 6 months, fueled by strong memory market and sharp price increases, now makes it eligible for addition into the S&P 500. However, SanDisk's share price has become highly volatile amid the AI-driven surge in memory and storage stocks, prompting Roberts to say that the index committee may wait and see whether its market value and recent gains hold before considering inclusion. So that meteoric rise, they might actually wait that out as opposed to adding it, having it change, and then just kicking the can down the road. SanDisk's stock surge has been attributed to a supply shock in the memory chip industry, triggered by Samsung's aggressive price hikes. This supply shock has created a bullish environment for SanDisk and its competitor, Micron, ticker MU. SanDisk also received a boost following its upbeat Q1 results and improved guidance, which revealed sales of $2.31 billion and a net income of $112 million. The company's continued robust demand in data center and consumer markets indicated a shift in growth priorities post-separation from Western Digital. Meanwhile, strategy stock has been affected by the decline in Bitcoin, with crypto-linked stocks dropping as traders debate whether Bitcoin's typical 4-year halving cycle is weakening or completely coming undone. Quick check in here on Bitcoin. Bitcoin futures 91,200. It was below 90,000 earlier today. We'll see if Bitcoin has any strength here today or if the bloodbath continues. Next, folks, it's a T3 Tuesday. We got Red Dog here today. Let's not waste any more time and bring him on. Red Dog, happy Tuesday. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right. Another day, another dollar. Any day I wake up and I'm able to do my push-ups is another winning day for me, Red Dog. So we're in good shape here. But look, we got a market that looks like it's flashing maybe a bigger down move here. We have Big Mama NVIDIA getting set to report earnings here tomorrow after hours. So this is where I want to start. I want to start with any of the broader market, whether it's the Qs or the SPY or the IWM or all three. And then I want to ask you what the chart says about NVIDIA.
All right, so let's go to the Qs first. So if you look at the Qs, I'm a creature of whether we're above or below the 8 or 21 day. So, when we're below the 8 and 21 day, I try and be tactical. I go from probably 10, 15, 20 positions to 2 or 3 and maybe even net short. So if you look here at the Qs, when the Qs kind of broke, first, this was the day I really started to take off some of my risk. This was the day we broke the 8 and 21 days. So if you did that, there was an opportunity actually that Friday on November 7th. From there, the Qs kind of lagged. I didn't really put much back on. And then you broke again, on the 13th. And now here we are hovering above 598, 597. So if that were to break, you could see the October lows, the October 10 lows, remember that day, of 589. If you look right now, the Qs are, definitely gyrating a little bit. They're down 4. So what I would really rather see is I'd rather see us break this level because the trading right now isn't good. There's you don't even really have haves and have-nots. You have names that are a little bit stronger that feel like you're trapped, and you have names in tech that are leading us lower. So the names that are kind of stronger is like Google and Apple. The name that's kind of in the middle is like a Tesla. The names that have been leading us lower is Meta and Microsoft, Netflix. But they're all like not great trades. So, then you have the super growth names that are down 30 to 50%, which we'll get into, where the fear and the greed meters are going nuts. But then meanwhile, SPYs are only 5% off the highs, and the Qs, I'm sorry, and the SPYs are only 3.5% off the highs. So,
let me ask you something, Red Dog. Let me jump in here. Does this feel, you've been doing this a long time, does this feel like rotation to you?
Does it feel like rotation? I don't. To be honest, I don't really know what it feels like. All I know is that it's similar to everything that we've had. Again, if you use the 8 and 21 day, and go to the super growth names, they all had huge moves, but they all gave you ways to sell and stop out and limit losses. At this point, people well, the market's been crushed. But the indices don't show it. It should be outlawed. I'm like, what should be outlawed? I'm like, first of all, if you're in a 401k and you don't trade for a living, you're down 3.5%. You're putting your monthly flows in every month. It doesn't really matter. Right. If you trade for a living, you better have a set of rules. If you wanted to make 200-300%, in a name like Iron or ASTS or Oklo or these, you better know your tier system, your sell rules, your moving averages, because you're trying to make money every single month and a quarter to net. If you're in a 401k, you deserve to put your monthly flows in and not really care. Yeah. For us, we're 53 years old, or I'm 53. I'm an old dog. My other 3 months ago, my wife was like, "Oh, did you see the 529 and the 401k and the 403b?" I'm like, "It doesn't matter. We have 10, 20 years left." But again, if you trade for a living, I've heard some bad stories lately, which is upsetting, that some guys are actually leaving the market because they got so battered and bruised and held a lot of these names on the way down and bought more and thought that they would get a way out, and they made lower lows and they blew up their accounts. I hate those kind of stories.
Yeah,
So
me too. The ones that buy the dip when it just dips more and then they end up getting flushed out. I hate it too. I'm proud to say that our group, at least from what I know here, our group hasn't done a lot of that yet. So good
yeah,
stuff.
well, you could even just do little small things wrong and lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
That fine line is very fine. So again, just really quickly back to today, the SPY 661, 662 is a big spot. The SPYs right now are a little off the lows. They're down 3. They're hovering right here. This is your 653. So we'll see how that goes. They kind of break before NVIDIA on Wednesday. I don't know. I would love to see it get really oversold into Wednesday, which is tomorrow, and then maybe have a better chance for NVIDIA to be solid to get you that oversold bounce versus bouncing prior and then selling off after. But we'll see. But for right now,
I
again,
like that.
661, 662 in the SPYs, and in the Qs, you have 598 and 597, and then the level below. So again, it's been range trading, it's been tactical. There's been things to do, but again, I went from 20 positions that I might have had from here up until actually this day hurt. This day I wasn't really ready for. That was the day that I probably lost a big portion of money before we made new highs. But I was kind of ready for these 2 days because these days kind of you could just feel it getting weaker. So anyway, we'll see what today brings. Do we go from red to green today, which could happen, which would be a great trade for those who are tactical.
That's right.
Like I'm coming in a little net short. I want to sell some of my Q puts, and I want to cover some of the premium that I sold yesterday, and maybe see if there's some things that go red to green, and make me some cash flow. That's what happened yesterday. That's happened a few times. You can make
Yep.
just trading. You don't always have to be sitting in positions and massaging them, because we're not always going to be in a strong trend like we've had, multiple times over the past few years.
I mean, the last 2 Fridays have been weak pre-markets, gap down, followed by a bounce. Been great for intraday trading, particularly if you have those levels ready. Folks, get Scott's free ebook to see how he adds option trades to his portfolio, gunning for 200 to 500% gains. QR code there on the screen. Link is in the chat. All right, Scott, you didn't think that you were going to get out of here without talking about NVIDIA. So let's just go ahead and get that out of the way here.
Okay, so NVIDIA. So first of all, let's talk about Palantir before we get to NVIDIA.
No
because
problem.
Palantir was part of the clue and the reason why super growth sold off. But Palantir was at 207.50 before the print. So it was at the highs of everything going into the print. So when it came out with great earnings and great guidance, it really didn't matter because it was so priced for perfection. And now here, I would watch this 164.50 for clues. But that was part of the reason and part of giving clues that they were going to sell off super growth, because Palantir, which had the best numbers out there, was priced in. So now if you look at NVIDIA, it's a little different.
One more thing there on Palantir, that when it reported those, it like traded up to like 222 in the after hours and gave it all back before the next pre-market. So that was probably even another sign that super growth was going to get sold.
Exactly. There's always signs. And, if you go back to Palantir, like part of the thing is when we're above 207.50, I say if it's going to get to 215, it's got to get above and stay above 207.50. It was above that a lot of the after hours. And then once that gave way, you had to get stopped out.
Right.
You got stopped out there or got short there. Because I know a lot of people have been looking for a short, they made some good money. And now it's just been a tactical range trade. So today, you could probably look in Palantir also. So if we're going to go red to green today, Palantir that's down 4, probably holds this 164.50 and tries, but it's below the moving averages. It's not in a special trend. This is more of a be careful versus buy every dip. So again, but that's where it was prior to numbers. So now if you go to NVIDIA isn't as priced for perfection. Well, what do I mean by that? Because if it was, it would be sitting up here at 212 heading into the print on Wednesday. Instead, it's come off from 212 down to the 180s. So it's come back into where it was, back in, what is this in July. So it's back in the range. So it's not as priced for perfection. Like if it comes out with a great report and ups guidance and they're back in the Chinese markets, whatever, this can go up because it's not sitting up here.
It didn't run into that print. In fact, it's done the opposite. It's sold off.
So that makes it a little bit of a better setup. So, we'll see what happens today and tomorrow into the print. But if we were to get more oversold into it on Wednesday, chances are maybe we have a better Thursday, Friday, but we'll see. At this point, it's a different setup than a Palantir. So at this point, I have no options on for NVIDIA, and I don't think I'm going to take any because it's it's been so hard to make money with option trades into earnings. But what I might do is if we were to break, the spies and get down to 653ish or something like that, what I might do is I might buy some calls. I'm looking at 1128, which is the Friday after Thanksgiving, and 12.5. Those are the two strikes that if we do take one more leg lower, and I think that we're going to find some level to bounce from, then I think into that weakness, I'm going to try and position a little bit into some SPY calls just in case, the whole, rally into year end isn't thrown away. Because I think the lower we go, the more the Fed's going to be able to cut, and we could get some kind of one more move prior. And I'd rather do it with options for risk is premium paid. So I'm planning to trade, create, put together a little judo. Like we break here, get down to here, buy some calls, not for this Friday, but for the following Friday, which is the holiday Friday, and maybe 12.5, which gets us closer to the Fed and also gets us some new flows for December.
Yeah, that Black Friday is going to be a big day, and not just because my Bears play the Eagles at 3, but for a host of other reasons as well. That 653 level is one that we had identified as well here right off the SPY chart. We're clearly looking at the same thing. All right, you had talked a little bit earlier about some of the high flyers recently. I think you mentioned IREN. Were there any that you wanted to cover, whether it's IREN or any of the quantum names or any of the memory names?
I want to give a little bit of a tutorial on ASTS.
Oh, yes, let's do that.
It traded so perfectly with patterns, and some people made millions on it this year, and some people got their clock cleaned. And if you look at the ASTS, like there's so much to learn from this chart. First of all, remember first it came from like $4 and went to 40, then broke. It had to go through this entire consolidation, which really took almost 2 years before breaking out. Then you had this breakout, right, where it got above 29.31, took out 39, went to 54, and then more recently, this was my last real good money trade here, right when you had a nice move, a bull flag. You wanted to clear 60, so there was a spot to clear. So you could have been buying options here. You could have been buying the stock through there above the 8-day, all the way to a red dog reversal. Now you know what a red dog reversal is. So do most people. You could Google on the internet what's a red dog reversal, and it actually gives it to you.
Some of your other guests come on here and talk about red dog reversals. That's how well known it is. We're well aware.
But we'll look at this red dog reversal that also had a bearish engulfing day. So not only did it get above 99.13, I remember that day. This actually happened the day after IREN topped. It went to 102, came back below. That's sell rule number 1. Then the bears showed so much damn power, they were able to break it below that candle low of 92. So if you didn't get out of 99.13, you could have been aware to get out of 92. And although it was at 102, 10 points below the high, and you're like, oh, I didn't catch the high, you could have got out at 92. And then from there, you had your freaking fast move lower. And I remember what I did is I sold puts into this spot, rallied back to 84, made a lower high. And then really right here, it broke the 21 to 81 swoosh, which was still 75. You still could have gotten out at 75 if you didn't get out during this candle. And now all of a sudden we're down here at 56. So there were lots of ways to technically be a buyer. And even though it had no revenues or whatever that we want to say, and then now it's just been trending down. And I do think 52.50 to 49 is a spot to write down. Okay. Maybe even today it gets below 56.12, which it is, and it reclaims it. That would be a decent cash flow trade. It's at 55. What I might do though, like remember I said I want to target 11.28 and 12.5. I might sell the $50 or the $50 puts for 11.28. Because at 55, the $50 puts will probably be $2-3. So if it got to 50, then I'll get put to stock. If it doesn't get there, I'll collect the premium. But then again, I don't have to look at it and be perfect with it. And at 50 and change, you're 50% off the highs. So I do think this is a good spot to watch. I don't think the story is fully over. But again, it's going to need time to rebuild. It's going to need time to, just get back on track. And from 102 to 52.50, I think that'll be a key spot to maybe put on as a swing trade or as an investor or into just a oversold type of bounce.
So if you have like a name that's traded on pretty high momentum like this and it gets cut in half by about 50%, are you just as a general rule of thumb, are you basically trying maybe a swing long at that point, as long as the thesis is still intact?
Well, chances are it's not going to be back at 102. I don't know if it's 6 months or a year. You have to lower your expectations, and it has a lot of work to do. before. Like, look how long it took the first move. So this move right back here with ASTS, I remember, because I missed this first move. So the first move went from like 4 to 39, and then when it broke after a 4x, much more than that, look how long it took and drove people nuts, till finally breaking out again, and had enough consolidation, enough money raises, whatever. So now, some people are saying this thing's still going to 250. I'm like, okay, well, you're talking about, I don't know, my son will be in college by then. First things first is you got to get a bottom tail, then you got to get a consolidation, then you have to break it down. Like even this move, like from the peak in July, before it rebuilt, it took to September. So July, August, it took 3 months to kind of rebuild before it can go again. So this might take, all the way until February, March before maybe, giving you a bunch of different types of trades. So at this point, though, it hasn't found a low yet. It should be able to bottom in this area, and then go step by step and time frame by time frame.
Okay, great. There's your area, 49 to 52.5. We'll see if it holds there and gives us a trade. Do you have any other of those high flyers you wanted to talk about, like Iron or any of the other ones?
Iron did kind of a very similar thing where I remember it had really good news around 75, and this candle negated it. And then if you remember that Friday reversal we had in the stock market, and Monday we gapped up. It was like 2 weeks ago. Well, this was the first
2 weeks in a row.
So this opened up above this pivot here, which was 65, went to 68.30 and went red on the Monday. And we were still strong that week, and it just went lower. So it told you it's cooked. So to me, I don't really think 44.55 is going to be the low that holds. I would think that, it can get a little bit closer to the 40 area, kind of like I'm thinking with ASTS, where if you don't want to be perfect, if you want to go out 2 weeks, maybe sell like $40 puts and take in like $3. And if it gets to 40 from 75 and you really think this story is not over, you'll be buying it there. But then again, that's just an opinion, because who knows what happens here. Sometimes you see full round trips. So I do think that coming into the 100-day, it's probably a better look for an opportunity versus sell there. You missed your spot to sell or get short. That was really right here. And then it really hasn't had any strength since. It's trying to, put a little bit of a low in, but it's hard to trust that for now. ASTS is down $1.10. Iron is what? Down 87 cents. Both these things could be trades today. They could both go green for a trade, but I don't know how much more than that there is right here.
Okay. Can I ask you about one more before we get you out of here? How about Hood?
Hood? All right, Hood, that's a good one. I haven't really looked at this in a little while. I know
there we go.
Pressure. I know a lot of things are under pressure. This too, kind of broke its special trend right here on this day. It was going sideways. It wasn't sure. It was building one of these upper pennants and then broke right here, and it's been working lower since. It just, this is just like everything else. It's going through a corrective phase. You now have a low here of what, 112-ish. So maybe maybe you could buy versus that today if you think that today's going to be a red to green type trade.
Okay.
It's below all the moving averages. At 200 days all the way down here, this is another major support spot. I do think Hood has done a great job. I remember when I raised this on my own little go-to list, I'm like, when it was right around here, I'm like, this has gone from the C list to the A list. And then it's been a great trend since. And right now it's just kind of figuring out how it needs to consolidate and rebuild just like everything else. And as of right now, all you do know is that you have 112 here, right? This is 112. What's Hood doing this morning? Hood is it's down 250. It's above 112. So I might even trade it today. I don't know if all of a sudden the Qs and the SPYs don't want to break the levels we just went over and things want to go red to green. This is definitely a candidate, especially if Bitcoin holds 90,000, because it's sometimes trades with Bitcoin. You could be a buyer of this versus 112, and it can continue to build this lower range. So I do think this is an opportunity to look at here, versus not.
Okay.
Everything else.
That's great. Thanks, Shane, for that. Anne Marie here says, such a big fan of Redler. Love his common sense approach. How about that, Scott? That's what we do here. Folks, get Scott's free ebook to see how he adds option trades to his portfolio and guns for the 200 and 500% gains. Red Dog, great having you on as always. Thanks again for the levels. Good luck here today. And if I don't see you before Thanksgiving, I hope you and your family have a great one.
Same one to you and yours. I appreciate you. Keep up the positive attitude. You're doing great.
Will do. That is Red Dog, folks, from T3. Be sure to check out his stuff. He is phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal. Anne Marie, I wholeheartedly agree. He just had it. Not only is it common sense, but it's crystal clear. And I think when I look at some of my own trading, that's one of the things that I struggle with. Is I'll have multiple levels, and then I'm not really clear on exactly what my plan should be, and then I sometimes overthink it. Scott never seems to do that. In fact, it seems to be the opposite. Dude is just on all the time and ready to go. Okay. Scott's departure leaves room for 13, so we're going to go ahead and bring on 13 now. 13, happy Tuesday. How you doing?
I'm having a wonderful morning. Had a good time watching the game and all the acting that went on yesterday, and ready to play some stocks here to the downside.
Okay, play some stocks to the downside. So 13 is ready. Now, I will say 13, looking for more downside moves here. In particular, if we break some of these key levels, probably makes a lot of sense. But for the long side, obviously, these gap down days are fairly easier to find relative strength to the upside. We'll see if we get that. Let's just go ahead and start with the movers, you think?
Let's do it. And I do have to front this with an apology. I did spend a little bit more time on one of these than some others. So I only have like a couple that I really dove into. But the one that I spent a lot of time on is Olma. Go ahead. I will get into it.
Well, I was going to say, actually, I have in my notes. Whoa.
Oh, they must have just done an offering, unless that's a phantom.
That actually, whoa! I can't believe that just happened. Sometimes you can't even make this up, dude. Yeah. And I don't have that candle on my broker, so that looks like one of those phantom candles. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. So I was looking at Olma earlier, and I didn't have a whole lot of time earlier either. And actually, so this is interesting. So when I took a look at Olma, I didn't see any news. Now it looks like I'm seeing here that they got a price target raise there from JP Morgan. So I can't wait. And there's some breast cancer trial data. So I want you, if this is the one that you dug into, great, because I didn't have anything for this earlier. So fantastic. Here's a look at the chart here, just really quickly, kind of set the stage. This stock went from $8 where it closed yesterday to $38 in the pre-market here today. We're coming back in as expected. Volume's out of control here today. I've got the VWAP at 24.63. The current price is at 26, so we're holding above it. We'll see if we get any type of support there. Quick peek at the short interest on this name, 13.41% of the float shorted. So while that's not astronomically high, that is still elevated and worth noting. Also, days to cover here, 5.14. So that actually does meet our high short interest threshold for days to cover. Now that 5 and change days to cover comes on an average 100-day volume of 1.17 million. Today we've traded just about 34 million already. Float on this is 62.5. 13, what did your research uncover?
So there's a company called Roche, and they are the ones that are actually causing this stock to move because they reported positive phase 3 breast cancer trial data. You have that headline in the news on Benzinga Pro there. Now, this isn't the Roche stock, but these two stocks are basically engaged in very similar types of treatment. They actually did Olema just reported quarterly earnings earlier this month in November. And they also I think last month, they had also reported an in-trial progress poster for phase 3 for a drug regarding breast cancer that they are going to be presenting at the 2025 San Antonio Breast Cancer Symposium. So this is a rival drug maker that is moving on news because of another drug maker. But both of these drug makers are presenting at the same conference. So I think there's a bit of a correlation there. And this conference is happening in December. It happens from the 9th to the 12th. And Olema is presenting on the 12th. So I think it has more to do with that than just the price target raise, which I think helps, and so does the short interest that you pointed out.
So interesting. So that conference is the second week of second week of December, and the 12th is a Friday. They present at the end of it. I think that actually sets up for some fireworks if there's anything announced there that's important. Mm-hmm. Just based on the timing. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, great deep dive there. That's really good stuff here.
I knew there was a reason. Just couldn't find it until I started looking a little bit further in there. Yeah, so that's I think what it has more to do with, in addition to what you said.
Okay, well, just kind of looking at the chart here, it looks like we did get one bounce away from the VWAP. We did not quite test it, at least the VWAP value that I have here. And actually in my broker, it too looks like we didn't actually touch it, although we got close. The bounce slowed down here at that 15 EMA. I had that right at 27.08. 7. So it looks like we did bounce a little bit, couldn't get back above that. We'll see if we do get another trade here. But with this staying above the VWAP, I'm at least still interested in it today. Okay, good stuff there. OLMA, Olema Pharmaceuticals. Now, Kathy, I don't know if you're still out there. You were talking yesterday about, biotech kind of being a theme here. I know this is a pharmaceutical stock. Let me know if you think that this kind of fits into that theme that you've identified. Anyway, moving on here. Next one is going to be ONFO. And let's see. Didn't have anything in my notes here for this one as well. It looks like this is borderline penny stock. It was a penny stock yesterday, traded up towards 140 here today, although it's backed off that high. We do have some news here. They secured $300 million in financing through a convertible note facility. So I wonder what their financials look like. Well, I'm sure we'll take a look at that here in a sec. Quick peek at the short interest first. 1.38% of the float shorted here. Days to cover of 1. That comes on an average 100-day volume of just over 500,000 shares. Today, we've done just shy of 15 million shares. The float here right in that wheelhouse that we really like at just under 4.5 million. What do you got on this one? And I also will take a peek at the financials here.
Yeah, so the 300 million convertible notes facility that they secured, basically that's going to mean that they have this ability to get the funding in tranches over time. So initially what's going to happen is they're going to get 6 million today on the initial agreement. And then in 30 days, they're going to get another 2 million. Now, it doesn't seem like there's any, I didn't get too deep into it, but for now, that's what's going to be happening as far as them receiving money. So I don't know what the future plans are beyond that are yet, unless I didn't read far enough. But so far, that's what they have planned for now, and what they've also outlined what they plan to do with those proceeds initially. About half will go to I think there was the purchase of a new company or an acquisition. The other will go to just general funding of their operations. Let me just double check that and make sure that I got that right. Acquire a stake in digital assets. So 2.5 million to a stake in digital assets, 2.5 million to support strategic growth across its operating business. So that's what the initial use for this 300 million in convertible note facilities can be used for. Company already has it has cash now, so it doesn't matter, but they do have a little bit of revenue. It's just they weren't quite positive yet. They lose about half a million a quarter. So this will definitely help them with their operations. This, no risk of capital raise here. They've just got this going on here. I won't say no risk, but a lot less of a risk.
Yeah, I completely agree with that read through. To me, it sure seems like they did this in lieu of a capital raise here. It does say directly from the PR here, the facility strengthens Onfolio's ability to pursue a strategy that blends the operational discipline of private equity, the liquidity and transparency of the public markets, and the asymmetric upside potential for digital assets. So it looks like they even mentioned here in the PR that they are going at this structured facility will allow us to invest directly in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana and stake those assets through established digital finance platforms. So that's what they're going after here. Okay, this did lose its VWAP. It's holding the 15 EMA, holding the 9 EMA here. See if we get a trade. Ticker ONFO.
Yes, sir.
All right, next on the list here is ARVN, and this is Arvinas. I am fairly certain that we've traded this one here before. This ticker rings a bell, at least. This stock was about $11 yesterday, traded above 15 here this morning. I don't have anything except for the 13 Gs from Friday of last week, so nothing fresh here this week. Analyst price targets are right around 15 anyway. Looks like this just kind of got a volume pop here today. Quick peek at the short interest. 12.31% of the float is shorted here with 3.13 days to cover on an average 100-day volume of 2.13 million. Today we've done 2.84 million. Float here much thicker on this, 63 million. You got anything on this one? You think there's a trade here?
This one a little concerning. I mean, aside from the float, which is 63 million shares, I mean that's it's about the same size as Olema, so it's not that big of a deal. What's the big deal to me is that this company is losing over 40 million a quarter. Well, last quarter they lost 35 million. Quarter before that they lost 61. So they do go through a lot of capital, but they also have revenue and they do have a lot of cash. I don't think they'll need to do a capital raise, but just the fact that they're burning through so much is of course concerning. I didn't go a whole lot into this one, so I not sure what all the other what the real news is, why it's moving aside from the 13 Gs that it could be, but maybe there's another stock that's moving in the same business that it's in, and it's causing it to move as well, just kind of like how Olema was. But I don't know the reason why this is moving. Didn't have a whole lot of time to go into that one, as I was spending a little bit more time on the other two. So I can only really provide some technical levels here. We're kind of down at one. The initial pop, that initial
the impulse high.
The impulse, thank you, that we got in the after hours. I'm sorry, no, in the pre-market here. That's now being tested as support. We're going to want to see this hold up here. And if we do get that, and we manage to recapture some of these smaller EMAs and then the VWAP, we're going to want to see that 1632 get taken out. And if you want, Ryan, you can also draw a trend line that kind of gives us a target to shoot for if we do get that turnaround and recapture of the VWAP. There you go. So many times before, we've seen similar setups like this. We just see some of those, some of that support kick in. If we do manage to lose support here, the next one is going to be down at about 12.15, where the 65 EMA is.
Yeah, I see all of those very clearly here from the chart. Good deal. We'll see if we get this set up. I would really like a move through the VWAP, but okay, really good breakdown there on that one. All right, GLMD is
this one again.
It's back, right? This was on our list yesterday. Actually had some pretty crazy back and forth action and then just turned into kind of a disappointment the rest of the afternoon. Now we're getting a pop here today on volume, but the key thing that you need to realize from this volume, first of all, this basically took us back to the VWAP level that we could not meaningfully recapture and then build above yesterday. So we tried to do that here again today, couldn't get above it. We'll see. Time will tell if this is able to get back above this. Take a look at the news here. We do have some fresh news here. So Galamed announces meaningful top-line results from its AM001 study of aramchal meglumine. I have no idea what that is. Top-line results showing bioavailability of that drug in the 400 and 200 milligram dose.
I think it's pronounced aramcol.
Yeah, you're probably right. I have no idea
I'm not sure
what these stupid words are. All right, so a phase 1 bioavailability study. What did you say?
Aramcol.
Aramcol. Okay, so that's what's going on here. It's moving the stock. We're holding higher here by about 11.5%. Part of me wonders if traders yesterday knew this was coming here. We'll see. Quick peek at the short interest, or a reminder on the short interest from yesterday. Negligible on this name. 0.1% on 1 day to cover. That 100-day volume is 1.6 million. We've already done 12.2 million. We do want to see that tick up a little bit. And the float in our tradable range here of about 5.4 million. So what do you think here? You think we get a better action here on GLMD today?
You know, it's kind of interesting. This is the one yesterday that if this news was out yesterday, we'd probably be higher.
I agree.
You know, it's just kind of interesting that they would withhold that and then let it kind of sink down to, beneath the close that they had, I think the prior day or maybe near it. Anyway, we're coming back up to it, some levels from yesterday, but we're finding some resistance around the 135 area. It looks like maybe a little bit earlier too, like around 130. So that's kind of where this is at right now. It looks like we're rolling over here as we approach the open. We've just lost VWAP. We're starting to head down towards the 200 EMA. So I think that's about where this is going to find some support. Maybe the 200 or the 65 EMAs. We got a lot of sideways price action down in those areas. So that's kind of what I would be leaning on right now. It seems, I really get the sense that this was a mistake to release it so late, but that's an opinion. It doesn't matter. Let's just see if it can get a hold above $1 going into the open, because if it can't, then there might be something better to look at.
Okay, agree. And these candles here in the pre-market give us a pretty good range to trade this against or take a look at. So, okay, good stuff there. Next one that I have here, this is on the list. I don't really think there's anything to cover here. SOLT is the 2X Solana ETF. I guess the only follow-up question I have here, day trader, do you trade any of these ETFs, or do you just stick with the underlying? I think from our discussions before, you've talked about just trading the underlying, but this moves with Solana. 2X Solana. Solana's up today, so SOLT is up today. The next one on the list here is Click. This is CLIK. We've traded this one pretty recently too. Click Holdings shares are trading higher after the company announced it plans to acquire Bowser Human Resources. No word yet if they're going to add Toad, Yoshi, or Princess to that. But from what I actually don't know much about the Bowser Human Resources here, but that's why this thing's trading higher. It did have an impulse pop yesterday, another one here this morning, but we've really given both of those pops back. We're actually lower than the sideways area that we had yesterday. To my eye here, unless this can really show some type of volume increase, I would be entirely unsurprised if this rolled over, just given the price action. But we'll give it a chance here. Quick peek at the short interest, 14.88% as of the last read. And that was a substantial tick up. Let's see, did anything change here? No, float values there are the same. So it looks like we had some added short interest here. Still 1 day to cover on an average 100-day volume of just about 400,000 shares, actually a little bit less than that. Today it's done 3.3 million. The float here, really, really low, just under 500,000. I'll check the float just to give us another data point here. But this to me sure looks like a low float stock here today. What do you think on this one, 13? Oh, no, the float can't be accessed because of the Cloudflare outage.
Oh, that's another thing that we can maybe.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm having issues with X. Let me actually try that again. Nope. Still down on X.
According to my broker, it's 980,000 shares. So don't know how true that is, but the company, their financials look like they're okay. Just slightly profitable, almost this might be in RMB. It's a company out of Hong Kong, so I don't know if that's converted or not. Aside from that, the way this is, I'm just looking at the daily chart for this thing, and I'm just a little concerned about whether or not we're going to see a double bottom here, because recently we came down to this, I think it's 585, this 585 level, back down in October, rebounded, tested the 50-day SMA, and then came back down to this very same level. And we just bounced yesterday. So going to have to see this stock move over and close over the 50-day SMA. And if we don't get that, then I think this could end up continuing lower, maybe even making new all-time lows. But aside from that, just for today, since that might take a little bit of time, let's just see if it can even get up to 875, because that seems to be where the resistance was on November 3rd, the last time it tried to retake the 50-day SMA. And that's also where there's basically the bottom of a lot of consolidation earlier this year from August to October. So that's what I'd be looking at, if we can even get to 875 today.
Okay. A couple of questions here. Is X down? So I actually just used X, or I just went to the X website itself. I can't tell if any of these things are recent. Some of you are saying that's what I saw too. X seems to be coming back. X Pro is not working at all for me. And yeah, you know what? I'm looking at my feed here, and looks like I don't have a whole bunch of newer tweets as well, or posts as well. So that Cloudflare outage still affecting it. Sorry, 13 to jump, but I was just going to what users are talking about here in the chat. It does in fact look like X is still down.
I knew about Cloudflare having a problem. I didn't know it was affecting all of these.
It's affecting a lot of things, and that's one of the things I wanted to mention here at the beginning. I immediately noticed that it was affecting X. It's also affecting some of our post things here at BZ. We had another user that said PayPal was affected earlier. Zach is saying that he still has trouble in Greece, so it seems to be worldwide. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Day Trader saying X is back. X has been up and down. It actually came back for me twice this morning, but went down again. So I don't want to say it's back unless we are actually all the way back like the Bears.
And what's the excuse for this outage now?
I haven't heard any excuse yet, but I know what you're referencing, right? It was that was CrowdStrike, not Cloudflare, I think.
Well, it's a little interesting and maybe even concerning to me that we're seeing so many outages from so many large secure internet security and internet service providers. I mean, not like ISPs like Verizon and AT&T like that, but I mean they provide backbones and cloud services. So it's concerning that we're seeing so many of these happen a lot, like we had Azure earlier, I think last month. Same with
Amazon Web Services. Yes, sir.
Last year was CrowdStrike, so a little concerning.
Well, can't wait till we rely on AI and robots, and then all of a sudden it goes haywire and nobody can do anything. That's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be really awesome.
Yeah. So make
And,
sure that
sarcasm.
make sure you learn a secondary profession, like a trade skill.
Yeah, or practice shooting. Okay, well, a couple more things here on the list. This is nice to see. I've talked about this briefly. I'm in this trade very light, and I'm underwater on it. AS is Amer Sports. This is the parent company for some of the popular brands like Arc'teryx. My thesis here was that this was going to replace Canada Goose and perhaps provide a move for the stock. Amer Sports shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q3 financial results and raised its full year 25 guidance above estimates. Good to see here. This is actually a nice move here today. Looks like the EPS beat and the sales beat and the raised guidance there. So all pretty good here. I was wanting to see if we got any other upgrades or anything. No, it looks like it's not. If we take a quick look at the chart here, there's really nothing to cover here. 13, I just kind of wanted to set the stage here. We take a look at the chart. We basically popped up to a 34 handle. So we're basically right above a high from the beginning of this year. We really want to see if we can make a run at 40 here, or at least I do for the trade. So we'll see if we end up getting it. But I was waiting for earnings here on this morning. Nice to see. All right, 13. I had really nothing else on the list. I don't think. What's up?
Go back to that because I don't know why I've got it on here, but I got a trend line from starting from the yen carry trade unwind on August 5th of last year. Draw it up through from there all the way through the lows.
Got you.
And since you said you're in this, I think that might be the reason why I've got this trend line. I think
it is.
I think the thing to be careful of is when we start closing under this trend line, watch out, because I think that's going to be your signal for a downturn in this. And you've got levels to the downside for support, but I think that's going to be your big indicator that this is really starting to get weak. And I think because we're about to get a death cross, that I was drawing this because that's going to be like step one. And, step two is lose this trend line. So,
okay. All right. Yeah. I'm in this small with some options. My options go out to March. They're the 40 calls. So we'll see if it's if we get bailed out on this or not. If it rolls over and breaks that trend line, it'll just be a miss on this trade. But we'll see. All right, Blessed Trader. I'm glad somebody likes my sarcasm. I got plenty more where that came from. I'm actually way more spicy and sarcastic off camera, if you can believe that. Okay. What else do you want to take a look at here today? I think that was, you guys are mentioning CMND is taking off. That's a mover.
Yeah, that's
Clear Mind. So this is a penny stock again. Here we go. So this is moving though. Clear Mind is moving here. I'm not going to trade this here today. Actually, we do have range up to 65, it looks like.
What are their financials like? That's something to watch for with something like this. No revenue. They have some cash.
I just kind of eyeballed the trend line here. I don't know how great this trend line actually is. I'm just going to leave it the way I initially drew it there. I guess this gives us a target. But like I said, I'm not going to trade this here.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think for this one, I mean, you folks that trade the penny names, you probably do much better than this than I will. But let's see here. It looks like whatever this day was that the last week, the 13th. That could be a data draw some levels from like 37 looks like it could be one.
Okay.
As does 40. So
okay,
I don't know what's going to end up happening with this, but be careful of an offering because it looks like they could do something like that with the amount of cash they have on hand, how quick they burn. It looks like at this current stage they've got maybe a couple quarters at their current cash burn rate. So just keep in mind.
Okay. Good stuff there. PLTZ, RGTZ, SOXS, IONZ, NVD, all on TZA, SQQQ, all on the movers tool here today. That tells you that at least in the pre-market here has been a lot of bearishness as those ETFs have been good trades there. All right. I'm wrapped up. I got everything done ahead of the open that I wanted to do here today. Oh, you know what? Real quick here. Someone had mentioned this earlier regarding Ondas. I know obviously the news yesterday and the offering yesterday really kind of sent this down. There was news here that they completed their acquisition of Centrix. And I think Tara, it might have been you asking me for thoughts on this. No new thoughts on this. This is basically We knew about this acquisition already. When we talked with Eric, one of the things that he said is he was very keen on driving the technology stack here at Ondas. That's exactly what this acquisition does. This is to help the Iron Drone Raider system, the autonomous defense drone system. There's a couple of comments in here. With the drone threats accelerating across the defense, public, and safety critical infrastructure sectors, we believe that adding Centrix's leading detection and takeover technology, particularly in combination with our Iron Drone Raider, positions Ondas as one of the most capable global providers of layered counter UAS solutions. So my thoughts on this is what he told us. He wanted to fold in more and more technology companies into Ondas to give the Ondas drone systems the advantage. It looks like that's the case here. The counter drone system, I believe that was the one that was just picked up in that deal that we got yesterday, indeed, with the drone raider system. So this just all is the plan that he laid out with us. We're just going along with the plan. Will the news do anything here today? No, I don't think so. This is new. We knew about this. This is just a press release confirming that this is being finalized or being done. I don't think we see any stock movement off this headline here today.
I would at least like to see 6 hold up. I think
Me too, man.
We pointed that out yesterday because that was a support and resistance area before, and down here it's acting as support. Little concern that if we cannot hold that we go maybe even down to $4.
I'll tell you what, the most perfect thing would be for this to close slightly under 6 at the December expiry of options so that I don't ever have to pay them back and I just collect all the premium that I sold and then the very next day bounce from there. So we'll see. We'll see if we end up getting that. Your $4 target makes sense. I would imagine it wouldn't actually print 4s, but who knows? We'll see here. What I will say, at least from the news flow, from everything, I mean, I don't know what's going on at the company or inside the company. I have to go off of the news that's made public, what he says in the whole 9 yards. It looks as if it is going according to plan, though. So nothing here to really kind of shake me from the remaining tail piece of this on this particular trade. So
market weakness and it's,
absolutely,
it's in a theme that has run pretty heavily. So it's it'll come back in a little bit, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, 13. Was there anything else that you wanted to check out? I know we got 8 minutes till we open here. I ran through everything that I wanted to get through, so I guess we could take charts from the group if you want. Ticker time.
Let's see what they want to look at.
All right, let me bust out the big chart tool here. Let me know what tickers you want to break down here. You know what? We'll start here with FCX. Jay mentioned this, but there was some news here. Freeport-McMoRan shares are trading higher after the company announced plans to restore large-scale production from its PT Fremont, Indonesia, Grasberg operations in central Papua, Indonesia. So they're just opening one of their mines here. Stocks trading up by about 7% here today. Looks like it's testing 42. If we go back to the daily chart here, is 42 important? Well, yeah, 41.5 is your 50-day moving average. 42.5 is your 100-day moving average. We're basically right in this area. I would love for this eyeball trend to really fall. I would love a close above that trend line on FCX. I think maybe we can end up trading back up here. If I zoom out a little bit more, well, gosh, it sure looks like we are in kind of a larger downtrend as well. I'm going to go ahead and just estimate it like that. We'll see if we can clear out these two trend lines here for FCX. Good mention, though, Jay. There was some news here on that today. And good morning, by the way.
That's because they give us some more information about that, about what they expect their production to be like, and they're planning on this increasing through next year and the year after. And they mentioned a roughly average production of 1.6 billion pounds of copper and 1.3 million ounces of gold for the 2027 to 2029 period. I think that's fantastic. That's because copper is going to be absolutely massive,
huge.
So that's great. Yeah, that's great news. Congratulations, anybody that was in it or ahead of that.
Yep. But my big thing here, 13, is I actually think that there could be more of a run, which is why I want to see some of these trend lines get recaptured and taken down. I actually think we could have more than just a one-day move here on this name. But good stuff there. Okay, next here, TTD is this stock. I don't know what the deal is here. We talk about this stock all of the time. This chart looks like death to me. It is definitely oversold or very quickly approaching oversold. Just kind of looking at the action here, it sure looks like this wants to roll over and explore lower. We are right on the support area from November of 2022. What I can do, 13, is I could probably just extend this trend line that we added together out here. This would give us another downside target. Yikes, that's down in a 20 handle.
And then do one on top. And then you'd have a falling wedge, which can be bullish. So,
okay.
I mean, it's not, I'm not saying it's just going to turn around all of a sudden and turn back up, but eventually what's going to happen with this pattern is you are going to get a break out over the top trend line.
So I think is your top trend line starting at the high here? Mm-hmm. This is what you're looking at. So let me adjust the chart here a little bit. Here's your falling wedge formation.
Yeah. So this could continue to play out for a while longer. I would certainly expect prints under 30. So I'm not saying this is now the time to start getting into it, but this is down at a pretty interesting support area. If you it looks like, oh no, you do have it.
I do have it back to 2022.
Yeah, so that was a support area following the highs it made when it was back at 114 in 2021. That was a support area down there, and we're approaching that right now. So we could get some initial support there that spins it back around briefly above 40. Like it's above 40 right now, but I mean we haven't hit that $39 level yet. But 39 is the support level. Could provide a bounce. I don't know if it's going to be a sustainable bounce. It looked like it could continue lower. And if it does, then to the downside, I would expect under 30.
Okay. Really good stuff there. TTD. I'm going to do Merck next here, 13. I know that this is a stock that you are very familiar with, so I'm just going to let you take this one. I'm going to leave it on the daily chart. And I'm going to get my washroom trip out of the way prior to the open here, so I don't have to do it when we open. I'll be right back, boss.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I mean, been picking this one up over time, and I've had it for a while. Had a good year last year. Came back in. This was a bit of an opportunity. I think more human-focused sectors will do better next year, and this would be one of them, being that it's in the healthcare sector. We also have a golden cross that just recently happened on the daily chart that occurred. Looks like it was just at the end of October, beginning of November. Got some candles in the way, so I can't exactly see which day it crossed. Looks like the 30th of October. So it's on its way up still. We have support beneath it at $90, maybe 50 cents, or $91. And we continue to hold above that. We're looking to get over the resistance at, looks like 96. It's next area I see. We have, I intend to hold this for some time. I don't know what the news is right now, but this is, that's causing it to go higher. But I think it's just a rotation to safety that you'll be seeing. And so healthcare, you probably will see utilities, maybe some consumer staples, perhaps some industrials. I don't know about too many industrials. They've run quite a bit, but with Merck, this is being that it was beaten down coming off of a bottom earlier this year. Looks like this is setting up to do well in 2026.
Ooh, good timing. Looked like you finished right as I got back there. Okay, how much time do we have to the open? Less than 2 minutes to the open. We're ready to go here.
Yes, there is a happy hour today.
Yeah, sorry. Yesterday I had a dentist appointment. Thankfully that went well. So really happy to get a good dentist appointment right ahead of the holiday season. I will take that to the bank. We are back today though, folks. That is for sure. And H&H Technical, when is that? That starts at 4 p.m. Eastern. So it's 4 to 5 Eastern, Monday through Thursday, every day that we're available. Okay, let's check in at the SPY, or check in with the SPY here.
EQX thoughts. This is another minor stock. Produces gold. Let me look at the chart here.
More rolling over here on SPY 13.
It doesn't look like it gets a whole lot of volume in the pre-market. Looks like it trades better during the day. Its average day volume is 15 million. Let's see here. Looks like it's experiencing a bit of a pullback off a high that it just recently put in earlier last week. So if it can continue to hold above 12, I think we could see a turnaround here. But I don't know. It seems like if the market is whole week, the whole market is weak, and we're not getting rate cuts in December, there could be a little bit more downside ahead. But let's see if it can hold 12. That's going to be the first area of support that I would want to see with this one. And if it, then you have the moving averages. So I would just look at it from that angle. Let's just see if it can start by holding 12. Maybe it turns around, goes higher. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of thought on this one. Seems like it seems like this was already moving up on the thought of
there we go.
What's that?
We are open. That is your opening.
Sorry about that.
It's quite all right.
I'm trying to get my thought out there. Anyway,
not going to stop you when you're going.
Sorry. So let's see here. So OLMA.
NVIDIA lower right out of the gate.
Ooh, that's not good.
Palantir and Rigetti higher. Apple higher. New intraday highs for Apple as well.
ARVN. That one had to sink lower, so not going towards the trend line, going away from it, but getting a little bit of support right now from the 65 EMA. GLMD getting some resistance here from the 9 EMA, losing the 15 in the process, or it's starting to. Might get support from the 200 EMA that it has all pre-market after the impulse move.
Meta's bouncing, so is Microsoft.
ONDS rebounding, going higher.
I don't want to get too excited about that. We saw that rip out of the gate and then immediately sell yesterday. Happened fast.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's doing, running into the 200.
That's exactly what Meta's doing. Look at that.
So looks like they're perhaps trapping.
This Meta pullback is 4 points already from that impulse move higher. Apple pulled back, but just a little bit. And the VIX here just shy of 24. See if the VIX can end up trading up here. Okay.
Let me look at what SPY's doing. The VIX was going higher, you said?
Yeah, the VIX was higher here in the pre-market. There we go. So we are above 24 now on the VIX. That was the area basically where we stopped yesterday, 13. We took that out here today. WB is asking, how do we join Happy Hour? You have to click on the join link, in Pro, which means you need to be a Pro customer. This show here is free every day. Happy Hour is only for Pro members. But hang on, 13. I've got something for you. For any of you that want access to Pro, let me make sure that anyone that wants access to Pro, here is our early Black Friday deal. Let me go ahead and throw that in the chat here for anyone that is interested.
ONDS is ripping.
Let's go.
FO was trying to get above the 200 EMA. It's still trying to.
Meta's back on.
Big seller on the way at 124 for ONFO.
Palantir highs, Palo Alto highs, Meta highs.
You were getting some more pull here in OLMA, coming down to the 65 EMA. This might halt. It looks like it's going to halt, actually.
MDT, this is higher after its earnings report yesterday. You said ONFO is the halter?
No, OLMA is.
OLMA, excuse me.
No problem. And ONDS is still ripping. We're at 660 is the high right now. Just be careful. I mean, if you if you're trading this and you pick some up, make sure you're paying yourself on the way up here. I think Ryan, you were right that maybe this could pull at any time, or maybe we regain everything that it lost yesterday. But if that's going to be the case, then there's going to be a bit of a resistance area coming up to about 740.
I mean, if you want it, I got asked earlier about the Centrix acquisition that has been completed. I can look at the chart here in Spinia Web that, hey, the market likes that. We'll see, though. Good to see this trade back up after yesterday, after the huge move down that it made very, very fast. And by the way, JJ, you were asking here if OLMA is halted. I threw it in the chat, but yes, this is halted to the downside, 2278. Can F, that's another, sorry, 13 for running you over. It's another one of those penny moves. This is just kind of right at the VWAP. bouncing around a little bit. NVIDIA still lower, although that's trying to bounce. And let me actually check in on NET for Cloudflare. Let's see what that's doing here.
Looks like CanF
Cloudflare bounced.
Was trying to break out of a downtrend.
Which ticker?
CANF.
Okay.
So if you just drew like a trend line from the 70-cent high that it put in earlier and dropped through the highs before the open, it tried to break out of this and was rejected. But I would still keep an eye on this trend line because that's the trend line that has to get broken over. And if it does, then I would be looking at 62 as the next resistance area.
Okay. And real quick here, just to check in again, I'm actually going to turn the squawk on here because I want to get some updates. And without X, I don't have one of my new. Okay, so X is loading. Let's see if it stays loaded. So the Chicago Cloudflare outage, at least seems like it's resolved. I'll let you know if this updates.
ONDS went up to 667, pulled back a little bit. It's still hanging out above 650, but there's a seller in the way that appears to be walking it down at 660 right now. Click. This is why I think you have to be careful with the Hong Kong names.
Yeah.
Pulled, went right back down to where it was in the pre-market. GLMD. This is trying to curl up and get back up to VWAP. There's a large seller in the way at 120. So we're going to need to see some bigger volume in order to get through that guy or girl. ARVN, this sold initially, went almost all the way down to the 200 EMA. It is recapturing some of these levels, now back above its VWAP, has some resistance about 1335, 1340, and it's got to get it back above. There's a seller in the way at 13 right now that it's dealing with. So still has.
Do you like this here?
Well, I mean,
I know I'm asking a tough question.
Putting out these levels, I'd like it better if it was above the sideways consolidation that it's dealing with right now. So not really. I want to see it, recapture. Maybe it gets back up closer to 14, because if it starts trading above, all the moving averages in 14, I think it'll be a much better trade. But it has to get up there first. Not sure if this is a turnaround quite yet.
A couple of things here. Tara saying, Ryan, I just sent you an email. Tara, I'm assuming I can share this. There was nothing confidential in there. Here's what?
Sorry, CanF.
Okay, the penny runner. Here's this. Tara sent this to me. Here's the actual site to check Cloudflare's status. This is what it looks like. I'll tell you what. Given some of these outages, it's actually good that we're able to get some of this information, but maybe this is something that you'd like to stay on top of here today. This sucks. X Sniper says, I can't log into my trading platform, or is that JJ? Excuse me. Can't log into my trading platform, but Chat GPT is back. Also, Big B's, you had sent me a article here on the Microsoft mitigating a DDoS attack, which I haven't seen yet. Now, this is kind of a short article. I'll go ahead and read this here for anyone that's interested in this. Big B's, I'm going to share this with the group. I would assume that I can also share this. It doesn't look like there's anything here that I'm not supposed to share. But here you go. That'll be an interesting read actually a little bit later. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Just wanted to get a lay of the land. Thank you guys for the added resources there.
Yeah, Jay Rise brings up a good point that both Amazon Web Services, CrowdStrike, they were both bought with their issues. I think Microsoft also got a lift afterwards too, but hasn't really gotten a whole lot of a lift since then. CanF, that one I was mentioning earlier, that's trying to stay above the trend line and the VWAP right now in this current candle. If we do get a close of it, I'm just going to want to see if it can get back above 62. That's the big level I think it needs to clear after the trend line. Let's see here. ONDS 670 is now the high, but it's running into a lot of sellers up here. CMND, this is just going down, coming down to a support area around 30 cents, but looks like
here's Cloudflare's chart. This did bounce a little bit. Jay, you think we got any more bounce here? I know you're also mentioning Bitcoin going green there. That's interesting as well.
OLMA is open.
Bitcoin back above 92,000. Do you want me to go to OLMA?
It's trying to turn around. I'm not sure that it is quite yet, but it is a green candle currently. It doesn't look like it's got great volume, and there is going to be resistance up towards the VWAP and a little bit above it at 25 as well.
Okay. So OLMA starting to bounce here a little bit. There's AS. Here's that Aimer Sports. Okay, that looks like maybe that was a phantom candle that pulled back here. We'll see how that goes. I would need that to go higher anyway. Let's see what else we got here. Circle. What's Circle doing here? Circle straight up. Maybe that's with the move in Bitcoin.
ONDS is still putting in more highs.
Giddy up, baby. Giddy up.
Just looking at that was taken off here. Looks like some of these, some of the themed names we were trading earlier this year, they're starting to turn around a little bit, like the drone names, some of the space names. Now, I would still be careful because we could be a fake.
No question. QUBT being mentioned by several chatters here. Taking a look at QUBT that ripped out of the gate here. Okay.
So there's another one, another theme stock. What's Rigetti doing? That's up as well. So glad I don't have a position in RGTZ right now. But
well, so let's talk about that then. What is the load area on RGTZ, if any?
Well,
should we take a look at the chart here and see if we can determine ONDS, by the way, new highs there, 675.
So it bounced off our trend line. It's trying to come back up towards the sideways channel. That would also include a gap fill if we ended up going all the way up back to 28. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but the MACD, the RSI is pretty low. So I would think that there would be some buyers trying to step in. I just don't know how high it's going to go. Maybe 27, maybe 28. As far as today, I just don't know right now. The volume isn't really telling me that I want to, I should be jumping into this right now. So I don't know. The answer is I don't know right now. It looks like RGTI is trying to turn around, but if there is going to be a load zone, I think it's still going to be higher from here.
Okay, if you get a level, like a tradable level there on RGTI, let me know. But fair enough. Looks like it's in kind of no man's land right now. The penny runner that you were talking about broke through that trend line here. Nice. New HOD, 60 cents on CAN-F.
Excellent.
Really quickly here, we use the Cloudflare servers a lot with gaming servers. Oh, Tara, what game? And is it Escape from Tarkov? These large companies like this really need to have some kind of backup system that kicks in if there's something wrong with the main system. Yeah, tell me about it. Oh, sorry. Let me ban the spammer here. Yeah, I'll take care of him. Don't worry.
Let's see. Google Thoughts with Buffett News. Yeah, so that was a nice little piece of information.
By the way, net Cloudflare traded back above 198 there. So that actually gave a nice little scalp there off the open. Appreciate you mentioning that, Jay.
OLMA is down at 65 EMA. It's trying to turn around here. So this is where I think where it would have to turn around anyway and recapture the VWAP. We're going to see any upside. Otherwise, if we lose this, then the next there's support like at $20, but even losing the 65 EMA, we could still go much lower down towards the 200 EMA.
Okay.
Looks like we're getting some pullback here in some of these movers. We're doing well. ONDS after hitting 679, coming back towards the VWAP. Large seller walking this down, almost a quarter million shares.
These inverse ETFs here, these look like these are trying to break out. Here's your SQQQ. That looks like that's trying to go higher. SOXS was also one of those on the list. Palantir turned around from its impulse move. No, I don't have a chart up for Rigetti yet, so I'm not sure. Here's SOXS. All of these look like they're going to go higher here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quickly, Kendall's asking if we have any thoughts on CYPH. This was a big mover from the last 2 days. I know yesterday it really kind of gave some of that back after having a fairly interesting pre-market. This is popping here, but I would just be very careful. Volume is muted once again in comparison to yesterday. This thing, the big trade yesterday was on that extreme volume. So we'll see if we end up getting that here. But that's what's going on with CYPH. I also noticed that IVVD was actually at the top of the movers list to the downside. This was another one yesterday that we had talked about. They did an offering right at the close, which sank this thing. It's trying to trade up here. Maybe watch this one, but that's what's going on with IVVD, a big flyer from yesterday. Netflix trying to trade up post split here. It's at 110.5.
I agree.
Honda's coming back to the VWAP. Sorry?
I was just saying I agree with Blaze Rhino. Rigetti volume is not that great right now. I just don't know about about trading at the moment. RGTZ. RGTZ is starting to get a bounce though, but it's still got to show signs that we are turning around because we still could head lower as some of these themed names still try to turn around on us.
Ooh, that RGTZ, that's actually not bad from that bounce spot. Not bad.
I just don't know if it's a reversal or a bounce.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm looking across here. Apple pulled back off its high. Tesla new lows here. Tesla actually under the pre-market lows as well. Let me bring the Tesla chart up here. Seeing some Cloudflare puts get bought. These are the ones for next week. That's a short-term down trade there. Cloudflare net back above 198. I'll tell you what, the 196 to 198 scalp, that was about all I got there. See if this this looks like this might try and go higher. Okay, so Tesla's bouncing off of 400. Net trying to go back above 200, it looks like. Here's what your net chart looks like. This is trying to go higher. No position for me. I'm already out of that.
So SPY on November 7th, a couple Fridays ago, the low was 661.21. Today it was 661.30. So that area down there in the 661 handle, that's so far acting as support. But I get the sense that we're facing some pretty heavy resistance now to the upside.
Really quick to jump in here. This is per Charlie on the Squawk. Cloudflare is announcing that their issue is fixed.
Oh.
198, 199 here on Cloudflare. I almost think that might try and trade up again.
That sounds like, what is the option flow saying?
Well, the recent option that I just saw here was a bearish bet. That looked like a poorly timed one. I'll tell you what, the chart and the action here, and given what we saw with some of these other sell-offs before, on these outages, this to me looks like this wants to retest 200, maybe even pop higher than that.
There's
Tara here, I have a firm belief that anyone that's really good with games, especially survival games, would be good in trading because of the learning curve. I love survival games. I think survival games are easier than trading, but that's just me.
Cloudflare has a gap fill now as a result of this outage. That doesn't fill until 202.25
okay.
Yesterday. So and the low from yesterday is 201.39. So you also might get some gap fill selling there as well.
I'll tell you what, as long as this thing stays above the VWAP, you actually might be able to scalp that to the upside. And if this outage is actually resolved and everything continues to work here, that actually might happen there. Marcus, good morning. It's good to see you again. Mentioning big volume a big move, in Home Depot.
Yeah, this thing got hammered on their earnings. They guided lower, but it really pulled it down to a very low RSI to where last time it's been this low, we did get a bit of a reversal, but that was in October. There's another potential gap fill happening here with this one as well.
Lots of NVIDIA calls coming across the wire here with earnings tomorrow. And there's some puts there too. They're not all calls. More Cloudflare puts. These are the 195s for this week.
Looking at some of these movers again, seeing if anything's doing anything. Clear mind is just going back to the starting point. ONDS, seeing some not so great looking upper shadows around the 670 to 679 area. This may indicate that this is going to come back in underneath VWAP, so be careful with ONDS.
VIX holding above 24 so far. That market bounce that we had just talked about, that was pretty short-lived, and now it looks like a rollover here down towards the lows. Here's what the SPY looks like. Yeah, we are right near those pre-market lows, 661. What did we have on those other spots that we talked about? I think I made a note of them here. Oh, I made a note of the ASTS spot at 49 and 52. The SPY here, 653, I believe, is the spot that we're looking for if this continues to move lower. See if it breaks this pre-market low.
CYPH ran up to its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. It's getting some resistance there right now, but it is above VWAP. CA and F, we popped up at the trend line, as you pointed out, back tested it. Now we're trying to go higher here, trying to break over that 62 cent area. It looks like it's getting a little bit of pull underneath the VWAP. But as long as we hold above this trend line, we could still get above 62 cents. So that's the next upside resistance that we've got there is that 62 cent level.
Okay.
ONDS, here we go, coming back in under VWAP.
I've got VWAP at 659, by the way.
658 for me.
Netflix, big rip there. That would have been good to play. Netflix, nice little move here from the 110 area up to 111.60. See if it goes to 112. PLTZ on the scanner as Palantir's impulse move pulled back. I would want this to go higher here. Don't have any of these short ETFs on. Oh, and by the way, Cloudflare did test 200, pulling back a little bit now, but it did recapture 200. As a reminder here, Cloudflare closed at 202 yesterday. That was the gap area that you had talked about, 13.
Palantir, if it can't get back above 170, I think it goes to 160.
Okay, so maybe then a move towards 170, a test, and an inability to get and hold above that actually might make for PLTZ entry.
We already kind of got that this morning. I got prints above 170, and then now we're beneath that. So because we got that initial pop in some of these names, it just looks. I mean, and I don't know if that's going to happen today that we see 160. It probably won't be, but if we start, continue to close under 170, I think it will go to 160.
Ondas so far holding its VWAP, trying to bounce here. 679 is the high print I have in the regular session. That's the area we would want to clear out. I can't remember. Did you say there was resistance around 680 or a seller around 680 that you had seen?
The 670 to 679 area is got sellers, and that's what we got those upper shadows from the past 15 minutes. So it
looks like 676 was the price at which the most volume traded on those upper shadows, for whatever that's worth.
Got to get this 675 character out of the way. But
character.
Yeah.
Just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character. Classic Pulp Fiction line from the Wolf, by the way.
Mm-hmm. He solves problems.
So I drive real effing fast, so keep up. Tesla here continuing to rip to the lows. So Tesla pulling now beneath 400. God, I can't remember what the spot was on Tesla beneath 400. We talked about that.
Also looks like CMND trying to get some support from the 200 EMA and turn around, but just be careful with that one if you decide to trade it. Gosh, this one running back up towards the 50-day SMA and getting rejected at looked like 420, which is something I never really want to say ever again. This looks like we could come down to test 385 in the maybe even as early as today. 385, but I think if we lose 380, that's going to be the signal that takes us down to 360. 360 is a big level that I have marked off.
Okay. Ryan says TSLL for a bounce on Tesla could be a nice trade. We really need Tesla to show that it's going to bounce at all. We got big time selling volume here. We got momentum to the downside. Looks like it is going to continue.
Yeah, and I agree, Wes. There's a lot of things that just don't look like they have setups right now. Some of the setups that we have had have been short-lived.
Nope. I'll tell you what, the best setup was the one, at least that I have seen here. The best setup was the one that Jay mentioned about net. Cloudflare maybe trading higher there. Yeah, that's all I got today. Home Depot, that's another good mention. Yeah, you're right.
And then ONDS still looking like this is trying to come in lower. More upper shadows in the same area of rejection for the fourth time now. It's a little concerning there that this is going to continue to come back in.
Back at VWAP there. Here's your ASTS. We talked about that maybe going to the 49.52 area for a trade. At least so far, it looks like it's trying to bounce and hold the pre-market low.
And we did lose that trend line in CANF. So that is not what we wanted to see. Next support's down around 50 cents. Not sure how much more is left in here, but if if it continues to hold the 65 EMA, maybe there's some more later on. But I think that move over the trend line was about the best move you got with this one so far.
Olma here, this still looks like it's hunting for a support level here. I don't see any trade setup at this time on this stack. It's one of our bigger movers from today.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to really do a whole lot for us. ONFO, that lost $1. The only other mover that really looks like it might do something, and I'm not even sure because I'm still poking it with a stick and it's still lying there, is ARBN. GLMD, we did lose the 200 EMA in the regular session, but as it happened in the pre-market, it reversed. Still trying to hold above it. Let's see if we can continue to do that. Otherwise, another one bites the dust.
That's a good song. Merck here, this is another one that we talked about in the pre-market here. This sold off right down to where it closed yesterday, immediately bounced. We're back on here at 96. I would imagine if this strength continues here, 100 test probably on deck for Merck. Would love to see it clear out that pre-market high. This to my eye here, at least on the higher time frames, looks like 100 test probably coming in the near future here.
Yeah, well, that'll be going a whole lot higher. I'm holding that for a while. OND,
13. I'm gonna step away and actually get a sweater here because it's a little bit cold here. BRB.
All right. ONDS. Well, we did lose the VWAP. We had those upper shadows, and now it's coming in lower. Next support area, we do have the 9 EMA. I don't know how strong that's going to be, even though we did getting a little bit of a bounce in that area that it's in. I like the 200 EMA better as a support area, but we'll see if we can get a reversal and then a recapture of the VWAP. Could be setting up for a higher move, but not sure if that's what we're going to get because of how low the volume is right now. And let's see if there's anything else trying to reverse. No, there's ARBN going underneath the VWAP. ONFO, is that trying to reverse? Maybe. CMND still trying. Not sure about that one. ONDS, okay, so it did touch the 9 EMA. It is trying to get back above the VWAP. But just remember, there were some sellers up in that 670 to 679 area.
I will say the wicks that you talked about, though, that's the concerning thing here. But the pullbacks to the VWAP and the consistent hold on the other side of the exact same coin, we'll see which one gives way. Is it the wicks that give way? Is it the VWAP that gives way? And that'll determine upside or downside. Well,
it did chew through some of those sellers up there, so maybe that supply is lessened now.
Market continuing to move lower here. 10s in your call on puts would have been pretty good. I know you said you're looking to take Apple for a bounce here. Apple might do that. SQQQ here, this continuing to break out from its pre-market highs as the market continues lower here. NASDAQ's trying to bounce as we speak. I don't know if that's going to hold, though.
Yeah, this would be, I sorry to say that, downside is great, but, markets do need to pull back and correct.
Absolutely.
And I've been hoping that we get at least some kind of a pullback. All the weakness we've had so far hasn't really been a whole lot of pullback. We haven't even hit 5%. 5% doesn't happen until we get down to 655.21. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a little bit lower, at least get a 5% pullback, maybe even a little bit more, so that we can go higher. That's what I want to see. Yeah, thank you, Joe. That it did go through that support. I was just looking at that as well. You're absolutely right. Came down to another support area where there was a previous all-time high, 659.11. The low today, 659.12.
Brian, excuse me, ringing the register. We will take it. Marcus, you're still in that Olma trade at 19.5. Your upside target on that? Yeah, I'm in at 19.5. I got my fingers crossed. Let me know what your upside target is on Olma. I think that's the stock you're talking about.
GLMD, the 200 EMA support is working. We're now seeing new highs in the regular session. We're up at VWAP right now. Still low volume, but that technical reversal off the 200 EMA, great to see.
That was GLMD, you said, correct?
Yes, sir. It looks like Click is trying to recapture the 65 EMA, but I don't know. It's already attempted that a couple of times. Maybe this time it works.
It looks like Merck trying to recapture 96 here. Here is your GLMD chart. You're right about that. Right to the VWAP. Let's see if we can get above that. Amazon, risk it losing the entire earnings gap. Tesla also more lows here. Tesla not ready to bounce. Amazon 225. I think it wasn't the 220 area, the Bezos sell spot that we broke out from.
Let's see here. You can have that marked off. I probably should have marked that off the last time he was selling, because the last that I've marked off here is from July of last year. I know he sold since then, I think. Go ahead.
Tara here saying, I would love to learn options, but I would need to start from the very beginning. Okay, anyone that's looking to do that, here's a free resource that you can get started with. Obviously, we have some in-house option experts here with Chris Capri and Anne-Marie Band, who joins us all of the time. But if you're looking for a free resource that can start you anywhere in your options journey, try this website, optionseducation.org. It is not affiliated with Benzinga. I've used that myself for a number of years. That can take you from teaching you what a call and a put is to what a multi-leg option trade is, and it's free. So really good stuff there.
And now GLMD is currently trading above the VWAP, or it's trying to hold out above the VWAP. There is some resistance up towards the 125 to 128 area. If it can manage to get up there, sellers in their way starting at 125. But this is trying to turn around. We just had the highest volume candle of the regular session 5 minutes ago. So
yeah, now it did just peak. So far, we're at a peak above the VWAP. So this is, I guess, the gamble here. Do you think it moves away from the VWAP? If you do, this is your entry spot.
Getting asked about Lobo. This is, this is on the move. This is a penny stock.
Yeah, 60-cent penny stock.
Yeah, it's coming up to some supply from 2 days ago. So from about 62 to 67, 68, there's going to be some supply. You might find some resistance in here, but if this volume continues, you still get some decent volume like this. We could move through all that. Looks like there's a little bit of a no, I guess it's more that's not really that spready. But then that's the area that we'd have to get through, and then you might see some more upside into the 70s if we can get through that area I just mentioned.
Your 2x long Mr. or MSTR ETF. This thing's only $1. This went to 165 there. Barat says, I don't see any big 1 million screenshot profits on X lately, so I'm buying a few longs here in the long-term account. Barat, I love that approach.
That's great.
I love that approach. And this is actually a good question here. I like this. Our Luke saying, what would you guys rather buy, Amazon or NVIDIA?
I think I'd buy Amazon.
I was just thinking the same thing. This is a really good question. There's a lot of ways you could take this depending on how you feel. I would agree with 13. I think I'm buying Amazon before I'm buying NVIDIA here. We talked a little bit about AMD maybe catching up a little bit. We talked a lot about TSM really kind of being the backbone for NVIDIA. There are other plays that I might go after for that. 13, I agree with you. I think I'd rather have Amazon here for the long term. Yeah, you know what, producer? Why don't you throw that into a poll? Like a poll where you know what I meant. That sounded weird, but you know what I meant.
I mean, Amazon kind of giving some opportunity here to. This might even come down to the 200-day SMA.
I was just thinking. Let me pull this up on a bigger chart.
I mean, and if it's the question is more directed at which one I'd rather buy here, I think probably neither. But for longer term, I think they'll both be okay, and maybe even great. But I think I would rather go with Amazon. It's a little bit more diversified.
Yeah, I think the same way. And I think if there's more of here's the thing with the AI. One of the other things that's playing into my decision here. The thing about the AI trade, which we are definitely expecting to continue into 2026, I actually think you might see rotation. That's why I asked Red Dog about this earlier. I think you might actually see some more further rotation out of some of these high flyers like NVIDIA to free up capital for some of the IPOs coming next year, like Anthropic, OpenAI, Databricks, a lot of the big names that we've talked about here. Amazon much closer to the 200, as you already outlined, 13. So this pulling back here might find some support there at the 200, even if it overshoots it. NVIDIA feels like there might be some more downside. There might be some more rotation out of that. And they've set the bar so damn high for earnings that they're going to have to crush this every time to keep moving. I think you get better returns from Amazon from here. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's just how I would answer. Now let me go vote in the poll that I'm going to ask everyone else to vote in.
I mean, they're both down about the same anyway. Off the highs. MDT, we're getting asked about that. This one still having a nice day, over 100. 101.64 was just the print I saw.
NVIDIA, more new lows right here. Interestingly enough.
The Lobo popped up to 65.88. I still have this on my screen, so just thought it was worth mentioning. And then it pulled back to VWAP. Don't know if that's all she wrote, but this is, getting the resistance up in the area I was mentioning. Okay, so let's look at some of these other ones. Still nothing out of a lot of the movers we looked at today. ARVN, that's still coming back up slowly. GLMD, it's still trading at the VWAP right now, trying to hold above it and go higher. Maybe it does, but there's also a bit of a trend line we can draw here with GLMD. Let's see if we can do that. What does that give us? That means that it still has got a little bit more upside to go. Oh, okay, well, there's a quick pop that almost went to the trend line just now.
SPY, more new lows here. Brian was asking, Ryan, what was the downside SPY target? I had it rounded at about 653. We're currently at the low here was 656.80. We're back in about 657.5. I would say 653 on the SPY. Jay says, Ryan, I would say this. NVIDIA's bar is a lot better than Palantir's going into earnings. Indeed, but Palantir wasn't in those choices there.
Yeah, Tencent, they're both going to get data center revenue.
That's right.
It's just different capacities. Now, the thing that really concerns me about NVIDIA is, they're not primarily, but they're very dependent on production out of Taiwan Semiconductor. And they can have other, fabs produce their chips. It just won't be as, I think they said, as high yield or as high of it might not even be as high quality. But I think that's really a bit of a problem for me when you're so dependent on a handful of suppliers for your product that you're making all this money on. That's kind of always been my thing with NVIDIA. Still think it's a good, great company, but
yeah, and that's a good point. Let me just reiterate that when we're talking about which one would you rather have, I think they're both great companies. And I think they're both going to be around. I just think that from right here, you might have a better luck with Amazon than with NVIDIA. Olma here, this actually into an 18 handle now as this continues its downside move. I've got the 200 EMA here at 14.5. We'll see if we get down there. Rooster, good morning, Rooster. I'm not sure I said good morning to you. You're mentioning GUR here. GUR, of course, had a good move higher after earnings yesterday. How are we doing with that? Okay, we gave some of that back. Whoa, we almost gave everything back, didn't we? Now we're trying to bounce here. Would like to see this get above the VWAP. Got that at about 20 cents higher than where it's at right now.
20-day SMA resistance.
On GUR?
Yes.
At 15-ish?
That's where it was rejected at this morning. Yeah, 15.
Yeah.
20-day SMA is at 14.93. That's what I think.
Producer here, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Anthropic announced strategic partnerships. Anthropic to scale Claude on Azure, Anthropic to adopt NVIDIA architecture, and NVIDIA and Microsoft to invest in Anthropic. So we get more of that circular stuff going on there. Microsoft are committing to invest up to $10 billion and $5 billion respectively in Anthropic.
So it's basically just the same news. Instead of OpenAI, it's now Anthropic.
Yeah, it's just recycled with a different name. The same companies are involved. That's exactly right. SPY's bouncing here.
Yeah, strategic partnerships are committing. So, like I said yesterday, these are all IOUs. There's probably not a whole lot of money, if any money, being moved around right now when it comes to all these. We're going to do 10 billion here, 5 billion here, 15 billion there. Very little money has been moved so far, in my opinion. Looks like OMA is finally getting a little bit of a bid here, back up into the 19 handle. ONFO.
This still feels weak to me.
GLMD also rising, still needs to get up to the trend line. Some of the names trying to turn around here. ONDS still has a seller that it's dealing with. It's still trying to keep the price down.
Coin's trying to go and stay green here. Did a red-green move. Looks like it's trying to hold on to that.
Yeah, Cam, like that's kind of the thing.
I'm highlighting that comment. That's funny.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, you're saying, hey, I'll pay you $100 and you dig this hole, and then you pay me $100 and I'll fill it back up, or we could just do nothing and say that we made the revenue.
There you go.
That's basically.
Keen, I'm going to invest $500,000 in you. Would you please invest the same amount in me? And that way, there. So there we go. Our balance sheets just went up by $500,000. That was cool.
Man,
that was a nice little trick there.
Oh man, EBITDA is ripping.
Oh man. You ever thought about what non-traders hear us think when they hear us talk? Oh man, my EBITDA is ripping. Like it's just you gotta think it's like talking to an animal there is just silly. Crow mentioning that Lobo is pushing higher. That's one of the penny stocks. I guess with the lack of setups here, we'll keep rolling through some of those pennies. If they're moving, if that's where the trades are, at least it's something. Here's Lobo. 65 looks like the level it needs to get through, Crow.
GSM is Chester's play of the game, or play of the day. And Lou is saying, new kid on the block. Welcome. Which stock should I trade? $700.
I have a great answer for this.
Well, we don't give advice, but we like. He's going to tell you what he likes if he had $700.
Here's what I think you should do. You should invest in something that you are familiar with in real life. Whenever you have a low amount like that, you're trying to break into the stock market. I think it behooves newer traders, and welcome, by the way, like 13 said, I think it behooves newer traders to trade things that they know. You're going to be able to make more sense of the news. You're going to train yourself on a product that you likely care about in some regard. And that should give you the edge that you need to make repeat trades on that name. If you're going to be active, if you're just going to hold, then I think it's going to be much easier to hold something that you feel comfortable with. I think some of these movers that we talk about on a regular basis are the last thing that you should trade with those funds. These types of things, especially something like a Lobo here, this is high risk, almost akin to gambling.
Yeah, get something that has good fundamentals, maybe even pays a dividend. Could even follow some other, very high prominent, investors that like, Warren Buffett or Dan Ives, see what they like for the long term. Follow them into something.
Dan Ives likes anything tech. I feel like anything tech related. Dan Ives is a big fan of, and it makes sense. Google new lows here. Brat, do you have a short on that? Sel Hildick saying, good morning, on vacation, just jumped in, volatility stepped in. Well, let me tell you something. Your timing for vacation is pretty good, bro, or gal. That is a good time to take a vacation, if you ask me. Indeed, volatility looks like it's coming back here. Speaking of volatility, we talked about the VIX earlier. That's above 25. 25.71 is your high print, currently sitting at 25.40. See if the VIX continues to climb here.
Yeah, the only thing I've traded today is ONDS. Don't have anything else. It's had a nice move out of the gate. Nothing, it's kind of the lack of strength in a lot of names that has kind of given me pause. So that's the only trade I've had today. But I am trying to do something that's not anything to where I'm going to lose money off of it.
Yep, the only day trade that I've had today was the net scalp. That's NET.
Not a bad day to sit on your hands or be very, very conservative with your trades if things aren't setting up for you or the volume isn't there. This isn't the kind of thing where you just jump in and hope it works. This is not that kind of day for that.
No, definitely not. In fact, this is the day where you warm up your hands by sitting on them. If you don't see setups, if it doesn't make sense to you, this is one of those. Now, on the flip side, okay, so we're starting to bounce here in SPY. Let me actually pull this up. On the flip side, we talked about this with Red Dog, and I don't want the, opening market bearishness to really kind of distract us here. We did talk about, like some of our last 2 Fridays where we had a weekday the day before, gapped down, traded lower out of the open, and then bounced. Well, this would be something else to watch here. I would say if you're going to try and play a bounce trade here, no guarantee that we're going to get that ahead of NVIDIA's earnings tomorrow. If you're going to play the bounce trade here, I would do so with a tight stop. If your trade doesn't work today, that's okay. That's the day to just let that trade go. Keep the loss if you have it small, or squeak out even or with a little bit of a gain. You want to try playing a bounce here, a move that where the stock or index went lower and then is going to try and trade back up to the high. Do that with a tight stop. Don't put yourself in a position where you're going to be even more hurt on a day like this.
Days like this, small or not at all.
Small or not at all. I don't like that on a shirt, but I like the saying here for the market. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh man.
You got it, 13. We out here, we spicy. Jay here saying that's great advice regarding investing in things that you know. In my old town in East Germany, I often biked by the Microvast factory while they were building it. Cool. I looked up MVST ticker, liked what I saw, and I've been building a position since. The one thing there is that just because it doesn't necessarily mean that the stock trade is going to work. But I would imagine that your processing of news and ideas is probably going to be a little bit sharper if you have a familiarity of what you're talking about.
And, if you live near some of these places, like absolutely go by them, look at them, see what, how busy it is, or if any, doors or anything open, you can see what they're doing. I mean, some of these businesses that we trade all the time here, some of them within driving distance from me.
And you know what, 13, and you've seen this too, like in happy hour, we have some of our more experienced traders that have been doing this for a long time. They will literally go see the CEO. They will cold call the company, say, hey, I'm interested in your business. Can I come by and check it out? A lot of the times they'll get tours and stuff like that. Like there's a lot to learn from doing that. And if you have that advantage, use it. Gary says, Ryan, you are on it today. Gary, I learned from the best, man. Your jokes in the happy hour would keep me going forward some of those times. There we go.
It looks like OLMA still on the recovery here, coming up to the 65 EMA. So almost back up to 20.
Okay, so we are finally putting in a bounce here. I would love to see one of these moving averages get taken out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in this and you're trading this, it'd be great if you make some more money in this. I'm a little concerned about how much upside is going to be in here. So make sure you're paying yourself, or at least raising your stops so you don't lose anything. But this is coming back up. It's just doing it very slowly, and that's half good, half concerning.
Marcus, I think you're trading this, right? What kind of targets are you looking at here? Are you thinking maybe a bounce back up to VWAP, maybe book some gains there from your 19.5 entry? What are you thinking here in terms of levels?
CYPH, that after hitting the 255 high up where the 200 EMA is, has gone nowhere but down. Lost VWAP after that, lost all the other EMAs. We're back to where it opened. CNF having some trouble with its 65 EMA on the 5-minute. That's kind of been the case ever since it lost it. Looks like this is still going to have a date with the 200 EMA. ONDS reversed, did manage to recapture the VWAP. Trying to come back up into that 670 to 679 area where we were getting rejected all morning so far. So still the potential rejection there in that that range, that 9-cent range, just to keep in mind.
Look at PayPal here. PayPal broke out of that sideways area. This did crack the 65 support. I didn't even look at this yesterday. Shame on me with everything going on. To me, it sure looks like PayPal here probably going to retest that 55, 56 area. Tom here saying I shorted Oma from 24, cashed out happy. Yeah, I bet you're what, 5 points in the money on that short. Jeff Bezos 5988 is asking if there are any good shorts out there. Well, Oma just made one. Looks to me like Tesla was a pretty good short out of the gate. Barat, what were you saying? Nvidia, was that still showing some more downside moves there? And here's the other thing, Jeff. If this SPY bounce that we just tried to make, if this cracks the lows and moves lower, I think you're going to have a whole slew of targets for some short-term, short side trades. If we break that, I think maybe some new lows here.
I like next two areas of support for PayPal, 60 and 57.
Okay. There you go. There are some levels there for you on PayPal. Jay here mentioning that the 100-day on NVIDIA is that 179-ish. Not saying that's what we tested here, but we bounced from about 197, or excuse me, 179.5. Beg your pardon. Bitcoin at the highs of the day. Actually, this 92,500 area was the previous morning high. We'll see if we can break that and maybe move higher.
Daniel, if I did, that wasn't intentional. I asked my kids about that. I didn't get a great explanation. I don't care about it.
Oh, I missed the 6. I see. I don't even really get it. I just like that it's like part of the zeitgeist right now.
No, I guess I'm a boomer now.
Bitcoin, sorry, 13. Bitcoin broke that morning high that we just spoke about. So Bitcoin continuing to push higher here.
Micah Stock is mentioning that rare earth is moving. Certainly, we do have a green day here with MP Materials. CRML, is that up as well? Looks like it is a little bit, about up 1.5%. I wonder if it's getting a lift with that FCX news, or if there's something else here that's with regard to the U.S. and China trade deal. Not seeing anything on the MP news feed. What does the SPY say?
Really quickly here, we do have a webinar tonight, and I wanted to advertise for this. This is, you guys have that are asking about happy hour and all of that. That you need Pro for, of course. But we do have a webinar tonight. Me, Tim Melvin, and Anne-Marie Band are going to be talking about bear market bombs, spot the bear market bombs before they explode. So if anyone is interested in a free webinar tonight, Tim Melvin, we're basically going to roll through, we're going to use Benzinga Pro to try and identify some stocks to avoid and some stocks to buy. If you're interested in this at all, you can scan that QR code. Again, that's going to be free here tonight. So there you go. Producer, how do I turn this off? There we go.
Oh.
There we go.
That was weird. I tried to put an order out, and I got kicked back saying that there was an error. I don't know if that has anything to do with Cloudflare, but be careful with your placing your trades. You might get especially if you're in one right now and trying to get out. Be careful because I got an error, and I'm just concerned that might be a result of the outage, even though they say services are back.
Stuff might still act funky. Yeah, you want to talk about Ondas because that looks like that bumped to a new level here.
I was going to say it popped up. It had a new high, and we're still getting rejected in that same. We're above it, but we still got rejected. If it can close above 80, then I'd say it's through that area, that site that was getting rejected at. But until it does, it still has the possibility of it going down. I think we have another 2 minutes left in this candle.
James says Ryan said the magic word free. Yo, free 99 is the best price point. Am I right? SPY, that bounce is continuing here.
WLDS worth a look.
And yeah, you guys were talking about WLDS. I was trying to get to that. It's wearable devices.
Oh, crazy.
Did that have news on that volume pop move higher?
Yeah. Unveils EMG-based weight estimation technology. So goodbye scales. I don't know.
So this is, let's see here. Given a weight estimation and running it's hard to like.
That's funny, Jay. I don't know if it's going to give as much drama effect as CNBC does.
Which one? What did I miss?
What Jay was saying.
Is it a market? So Jay, I'm glad that you mentioned this. We have no 3D animated red bears, which you always see on the markets in turmoil. Tim Melvin, first of all, Tim Melvin's been on this for a while, and he takes a much less hyperbolic approach to that entire thing. So I would say on the surface here, it is not going to be anything like the CNBC markets in turmoil specials that they play. That's a good one, though. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, there has been a lot of that rotation, and I think we continue to see more of it.
Like I said, though, if you're going to play the bounce, just be sure to do it with a stop.
Yeah.
Just be sure to do it with a stop. Maybe it does continue to bounce from here. Maybe it rolls back over. Just protect yourself if you're going to play that one.
And WLDS, this is an interesting one because we've talked about how wearables are going to be, kind of like they're not the next big thing. They're already here, but I think they're going to get more and more popular as technology progresses. You'll see a lot more people wearing smartwatches. You'll see a lot more people wearing smart glasses. And they might even incorporate some of this technology into clothing. So I think that's going to be where we're headed. So wearable devices certainly one to keep an eye on if they continue to develop this kind of technology. Imagine that. You put a jacket on, it tells you what your weight is. That'd be awesome. Or how about we might actually be finally getting some of these Back to the Future Part 2 clothes, self-drying jackets and self-lacing shoes. Or
what did you think about Palmer Lucky's jacket that's copper, that's basically got pockets that act as Faraday cages?
That's crazy. I thought that was
awesome.
Yeah, but I wonder how much it must cost.
Yeah, for him it doesn't matter. They did say it was heavy, but FCX long on that maybe. CoreWeave here, this is actually a pretty good bounce for CoreWeave. Still down 2.5%, so unsure that this is going to go red-green. The bounce in the market here is still continuing.
Yep. You're still getting some that movement with IDA. I'm sorry, with the not IDAI. That one's kind of at around $4. But ONDS still trying to deal with that same area, trying to get a candle to close above $80 to 680. Looks like it might actually happen with one of these next candles. So we'll see. It just continues to get rejected in that same zone.
Some of these digital asset treasury names are bouncing here. BMNR, ASST. Is CAN one of those? I can't remember, day trader. Let's see if it's on the list here.
That's a Bitcoin mining.
It's not. You're right.
They make ant machines.
By the way, day trader, thanks for the kick in the pants on this digital asset treasury tracker. Now that I've put it front and center, I have continued to use this more and more. You really did build something helpful here.
Yeah, crypto is really getting a lift here this morning. Matter of fact, this 5-minute chart looks like there's a bit of an intraday head and shoulders kind of. We'll see. We'll see if we can. Next resistance area is going to be at 93,500. Actually, 93,000 might be one earlier, but 93.5 is also one.
I'll tell you what, this is, just from looking at what the pre-market was like, this has actually not been a bad day.
No.
Nice and healthily green, which I guess I did not expect waking up today.
Oh, yeah, Dan Ives' Orbs, 8Co Holdings.
Yeah, how's that doing?
Well, it had a pop out of the gate, put in some new lows down around 266, and that's recovering as well. It's not up at the three handle or a 317 high like it was yesterday. This thing has really come in. I mean, it used to be $83. This thing's really
I don't think it was ever actually 83. I think that was just that crazy day.
Interesting, though, there is this one candle from July 25th that the price has kind of come down to and been getting support at for the past 3 days. So if you look at a daily chart, you look at July 25th, there's that one candle before it came back in, and that price, for the past few days, from Friday to today, has been,
that's right in here. Yep.
been getting support from
Interesting.
that demand zone. Interesting. Might be a spot.
660 on the SPY might get recaptured. Oh, you know what? I don't think so. Actually, now that I'm looking at this intraday chart here, SPY did bounce, but it looks like it met its match at the VWAP. We'll see if it can clear out the final boss and go higher here.
And go back to some
Olma bouncing here too. Oh, well, it's not really moving, unfortunately. Marcus, if you're out there, let me know what kind of upside target you have here on Olma. Yeah, SPY couldn't clear out that VWAP.
Just looking for something. I mean, here we go again. ONDS still getting that same resistance from earlier. Look at this. Look at what ONDS is doing. I think you can pretty much outline where the sellers are. So until we take that area out, this is probably going to continue to happen.
Look at my trend line.
Beautiful.
Well, we basically extended that. We added that a couple of days ago here and just extended that trend line. BE, Oklo, and NE. So it looks like some of the nuke names there. Those are trading higher here. BE higher by 2.5%. Oklo was the other one. That's still sub 100 and still under the trend line that we broke. Boy, we couldn't get above that yesterday either.
Yeah, let's see here. Because that that head and shoulders pattern may still be resolving. Let's see here. Gosh,
SMR also appearing on the scanner list here. This trading in sympathy with those other ones we just talked about.
What I don't think you want to see happen is a loss of the trend line, because I think that could take us down to at first 75. I don't know if we're going to turn around there, but the 200-day SMA is down at 66.71. That could be the next stop after 75 if we lose this trend line here with OKL though.
Yep.
MSTR with the rocket ship. Got crypto coming back. Gonna what was the accidental phrase that was said in happy hour? A rising boat lifts, or no, a rising ship lifts all the crappy boats.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. We knew what he meant, though.
Yeah, we knew what he meant.
OMA 21 target, possibly. Okay, thank you, Daniel.
I still got to get through 20, and there's a seller in the way at 20. But yeah, I would agree with that. Oh, there it is. Just got taken out. It popped up to 20, took it out, and then it pulled back.
I'm still laughing about a rising boat lifting all the crappy boats. That's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Brian is saying that we're going to get another pull in the market here, quite possibly. So yeah, we took out that seller at $20, going a little bit higher now. Next resistance 20.54, where the 65 EMA is. I think he was pointing out 21, where I have VWAP.
Yeah, to me, I think Brian's probably right. If we cannot get above VWAP, I would imagine this market goes and retests some of those lows. But I don't think that battle's done yet. The die has not been cast.
Well, let me look at this chart real quick here, because I think looking at yours, it kind of looked like it was a bit of a bearish intraday pattern that we were getting here. Yeah, that seems a bit like a bear flag that if we resolve, it's going to bring us down underneath the lows of the session.
All right, SPY going for that VWAP here. We'll see if we get a VWAP break. There's a pop above 660. Let's see if VWAP ends up falling here. I've got that at 660.40 on the SPY.
Who called Olma going to 21? Because that was a great call. It's almost there at the VWAP. But this also looks like it could be a bear flag. So if this doesn't start closing over VWAP, then this may reject and go lower as well. Yeah. Okay. So Daniel, exactly. So that's what I'm seeing too. Now it could go higher. There's always that potential, but it does look like this formation is pretty bearish looking. So we could get rejected there, like you said.
I don't think we're out of the woods yet here on the SPY bounce either. I think it's really going to come down to that VWAP.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll let the battle shake out here.
AMD is reversing. That's also looking like a bear flag. What do the Qs look like? Probably a bear flag.
Yep. Qs actually look like they're a little bit ahead of the SPY here on that rollover, to be quite honest with you.
Yep, 3 upper shadows there. It looks like this is going to go under 592.50, and now this selling is accelerating in the Qs.
Let's see what is out here on the Twitter streets.
Now that it's back up.
Now it is, and actually, since they made that announcement that it's back up, I haven't had any hiccups with it either. And man, I had a ton of them this morning. When it looked like it was going to work, it just stopped. That's not the case now. Everything seems to be functioning normally. JJ, was that you that could not get into your trading platform? Are you able to get into it now? I would imagine with everything being resolved, you're probably all right.
ARVN, mover from this morning, this is still climbing after it had that initial sell-off.
SPY now quickly moving back to the lows here. I tell you what, the VWAP was the mile marker there. Could not get above it. Qs and SPY rolling back over to the lows, taking some other stocks with it as well. Tesla actually re-examining the lows here. And what is this? SEI, Solaris Energy, tons of put sweeps here. Oh my. These put sweeps, yeah, these are 40, 50, varying expiration dates. Some are this week. Others are the December contract. Multiple hundred lots here. Looks like over 1 million total in put premium SEI.
ONDS rejected again. Same area. Got down to view up now.
Yes, I got in. Okay, great. Great, JJ. Chris saying selling not done, Ryan. Bull trap. That's kind of what I've been with. That's why I've been saying from the start of the show that if you're going to trade a bounce here today, like we've seen the past 2 Fridays, got to be done with a tight stop. Because right now, you're exactly right, Chris. It looks like a trap.
It's a trap.
Oh, man.
That line will never get old. When was Return of the Jedi released? 80s?
80. I want to say 83.
So that line is 40 years old and just as strong, arguably stronger now today than when Akbar first uttered it.
And, you know, if you kind of look at some of the other movies that came out during that time, it seemed like the film quality was pretty ahead of its time.
It's a trap.
Just for good measure. Just
all right.
Because it's been a bit.
It's in your brains now, folks. Okay, so let's see here. Back to the stocks. CANF. This is starting to get a little bit of a lift again, trying to recapture that 65 EMA for what appears to be like the 10th time almost. ONDS getting a bounce off the VWAP. Volume is still declining as we are now over the 10:30 point in the morning where volume does leave the market. ARVN continues to recover. Might get some resistance around 14.
You know, ONDS, I think I've got VWAP at 660 and I've got the trend line that it's really struggled to get above at 682. So we got a 22-cent range here. I think one direction or another, this is going to end up falling here today. Hopefully it's to the upside, but we'll see. SPY now 657 3/4. Watch that 653 level. That was the downside level that we talked about at the open, and Red Dog had the same one. Tells me that I'm right on there.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
And CLIK, click, this name again, coming back up to where it was getting resisted all morning around 765 to 770. And
how did Cloudflare? Let's take a look at net, see how that finished up here today. I guess not really finished. It's okay. It's rolling. So interesting. You got the same initial bounce that we saw from some of these other outage plays when we've got them, but short-lived here. This to me feels like it's trading with the rest of the market. Tell you what, the Dow looks like it wants to go lower here too.
Yeah, Mike, this there is, it does seem slightly liquid, but I think there's just a little bit of concern. I think it's just, fear. But this is fine. I want to see this come down to at least 655. I want to see at least a 5% pullback. Maybe we correct to 10%. I don't know, but that would also, in my mind, be something that we would need to see. Because if we get that, and we turn around and start recovering into Turkey Crack Week.
I'll be honest with you, given some of the action that we've seen here, I'm not sure we're going to be on for that. I hope so. I would love a good old fashioned Turkey Crack Week, but I don't know.
And that's absolutely fair to say, because what has happened so far, for the past couple of quarters, or in the quarter we're in, and in the last quarter, none of the things that have typically worked when it comes to seasonality, like sell in May and come back at St. Lager's Day, and there was something else. What else?
It was the September being week that traditionally bottoms in October. That never happened either.
That never happened either. We just kept ripping. So maybe the Santa Claus rally is more of a Santa Claus sliding down a sled. I don't know. What's the opposite?
What's the opposite of the Santa Claus rally?
Could be a bad November, could be a bad December, but I still want to see this market correct some more, because it has been on a bit of a run.
Let me restart my bird soundtrack here real quick. 1 sec.
Got to keep the bird happy. I'm just looking around to see if there's anything that looks like it's got a setup, and none of the movers are really looking particularly great. Volume just isn't really there for them. Some of the bigger names are probably going to be the ones that provide better trades in a day like this. But even with that, it's how great could they be? We need to get a market reversal, and we just haven't quite got that yet. SPY still looks like it wants to go lower. It's getting some support, but it still looks like it wants to go lower. Click still trying to push into new session highs, but that is not going to happen until it gets up to around 790. Will Santa bring us a rally? That's kind of what I'm wondering. We haven't been getting things that we normally would in any given year. So it might be that we don't. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see what happens with November 1st. Let's see what happens with November, remainder of November. We still have to get through Turkey Week. Maybe after NVIDIA. See, that could be the thing. The market could just be kind of muted until we get those earnings.
Does kind of feel like the market's waiting for that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does.
Sure does.
Like there's really no big news that we're really waiting for economically. I think we get some economic data later this week, don't we?
Yeah, well, we did. So yes, we had some economic data today, but it wasn't terribly important. We had the ADP employment change, factory orders, and Fed's bar speaking. We are so the look ahead here: import, export, balance of trade data, crude gasoline data, FOMC minutes, and Fed's William tomorrow. Non-farm payroll, Philly Fed, Hammock, existing home sales, Cook speaking, and Goolsby speaking on Thursday, and then Williams, Barr, Jefferson, Logan speeches on Friday, and the Michigan consumer sentiment number. So we do get more data here. Uncertain how much that's actually going to move stuff.
Do not know.
Also, just looking ahead here for today, we do have an all access that we're going to start in 7 minutes here. Then we're going to come back from that all access and have Anne Marie give us her thoughts on the market and give out some more option trades as well.
Yeah, see, I kind of feel that too, Nefer. This best month of the year has not, held up really, and it tends to, do a lot better than this. So we'll see what we get with these NVIDIA earnings, and with next week being Thanksgiving.
I am. Is anyone else just like super excited for Thanksgiving? Like I literally cannot wait.
Yeah, of course I am. Of course.
It's literally one of my favorite days of the year. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. Got a good dentist checkup yesterday. Ready to go.
You got you got your teeth ready for turkey. I got you.
And don't forget the pecan pie as well.
The pecan pie. Spy.
Judge, take care of yourself. Have a great day.
Take care, Judge. Spy. This still looks to me like we could get another test of 57, maybe even go lower. We're not really recapturing some of these levels. Looks like we're trying to recover, but the volume just doesn't look great to me. Hopefully we can get a turnaround, but I still think that we're going to be heading lower, which is fine too. I was just going
to say this to me feels heavy.
Yeah,
feels heavy.
What's your recent thesis on SIDU? SIDU. Side of Space was one of the names that. Okay, so this is more of the penny name. Oh, it's up today. Let's see why. But I think this is the one that was trying to build or had a contract to build data centers in space, or at least one of them that had a contract for that. And I think it was Lone Star. Yes, Lone Star is the one that's working with them. So looks like we got some news about that at the end of October about finalizing a commercial Pathfinder mission agreement with Lone Star. That's not the same thing I was looking at. This one still makes the Lizzie satellites, and we're likely going to see that growing popularity. These they're very, very small, so they can be launched up into space with other small satellite providers.
Really quickly here, Super Sam, we asked this question the last time that you came on, and Anne-Marie gave you a direct answer for that. So we are not going to be doing just straight calls or puts in most cases. She explained why in depth the last time that you asked that.
So the PR that came out with SIDU today actually touches on some of the data center in space plans that they have with Lone Star. I think that's why it's running today. Now, I think that their fundamentals could be a lot better. They're going to have to raise capital again at some point. This is one that was really good in the space theme that's kind of drifted off a little bit, but I think the space names will come back. But this one is one of the ones that's still in their growth phase, and they're going to continue to do reverse splits and capital raises, in my opinion, until they actually get some revenue to where they don't enough revenue to where they don't need to do that anymore. Right now, they only make like a little more than $1 million a quarter. I don't know if that's consistent either, but they lose a lot more. So it still could be an interesting theme because data centers in space, I know that that's something that's getting talked about a lot. I just don't know how soon we're going to see that. So great idea, still pretty early.
By the way, poll results are in. Which would you rather buy? Amazon winning that with 61% of the vote. 39% of you said NVIDIA. Thank you for voting in our poll.
Okay.
EPSM, this got mentioned by Wiss earlier, I believe. It was either Wiss or Crow. It was one of the two. EPSM, this actually looks like this is trying to make another run towards 2. Lost 2 the last time it took it.
You're welcome, Wiss. I do like my space stocks, and I will always keep you guys updated on when the next Starship launch is going to happen, because that's basically the spectacle right now.
Yes, it is. And if you really want to have some fun and you're interested in all those space stocks, go ahead and toss on Moonraker, the James Bond movie with Roger Moore. That'll give you a good laugh about what they thought about space and space travel back in the day, if you will. That was a good one.
Sleeping on Mafia Possum for you. Is that true, Michael? He sells more than any other CEO. I know that he's been granted that as compensation before. Let me look at that.
He's had a sell program in place for a long time. None of that's really new.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's too concerning, because it's like you said, it's a program. If he was like this, dumping all his shares like the Rigetti CEO did, that'd be very concerning.
Well, that's the other thing that you're talking about. That's the other thing that we're kind of talking about there. How many do you have left over? I mean, Jensen's got, I can check here for you. Let's see, we got 2 minutes before we go to all access here.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick look here real quick. Let's just look at this real fast.
Yeah.
This is going to be the same for Jeff Bezos as well. So Jensen Wong here,
79 million.
as of his last sale, has 79.73 million shares. The guy has nearly 80 million shares. If you're worried about 225,000 of those shares being sold, I think that's much ado about nothing.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, the Rigetti, he's got none. CEO doesn't even believe in his own company. You could make the argument. SPY here continuing to press 657 to the downside. We'll see if that ends up getting kicked. All right. So, I forgot to mention. So we're gonna go to the all access right now, and then after that we're gonna have Anne Marie, and then after that Paul Meeks is back. What did you need to say there, 13?
Oh, I was just going to say OLMA is now over some of it, or all of its moving averages and VWAP. So this is turning up here. Don't know how much of a run it's going on, but it's getting a lift right now. But guess what, folks? Fortunately, we are out of time right now. So enjoy OLMA while it does its thing as we leave. Until then, until tomorrow. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Don't get trapped in anything. Make sure you're able to come back here and trade with us. And I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.
All right, 13, take care of yourself. We will see you on Happy Hour today and tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. All right, folks, so we're going to take a quick break here. Going to send you over to All Access. After the All Access, we're going to welcome Anne Marie back. We're going to do trading with Anne Marie, and then we're going to send you to Paul Meeks. So, Dan, take it away.
Thanks, Ryan. Hey, Zingers, and welcome to All Access. I've got a wonderful guest for you today. It's Oleksandr Komarov, the CEO of Kyivstar. Their NASDAQ ticker is KYIV. He's joining us for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now. And it is my pleasure to welcome in the CEO of Kyivstar, Oleksandr Komarov. Great to be with you today.
Yes. Hi, Dan. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, it's the honor and pleasure is all mine. And let's talk about Kyivstar Group. And I know you're coming off a strong third quarter. But before we get into the results, can you tell our viewers a little bit about the company and what is driving its growth?
I think that actually our Q3 results is a very, very good evidence how, let's say, a bold vision together with disciplined execution works together. Yes, we have achieved more than 20% growth in a local currency year on year. And what I'm really, really glad to see that it is actually driven by all elements of our structure. Our core telecom business grew 9%. Our existing digital business grew 89%. And because of non-organic integration of the biggest ride-hailing business in Ukraine, Uklon, we were able to achieve a 5 times growth of our digital business. And as a result, we landed Q3 with almost 12% of the digital revenue inside our total revenue. And this is very much in line with our declaration of the vision that we would like to transform Kyivstar from the telco service provider to the digital service provider with the telco license. And this is very much supported by a very strong marginality, 57%. Okay, and somehow we see how we are able to transform customers' value into a strong shareholders' value.
Just absolutely phenomenal numbers and obviously very exciting stuff for sure. And I know that beyond being a leading digital company in Ukraine, this is just an awesome thing. You guys are the first Ukrainian company to list on a U.S. stock exchange. How did that happen?
This is part of our strategy. The decision to list Ukraine operational companies was taken, around 21. Of course, it's not so easy and simple process. There were certain delays related to the geopolitical situation, to the war in Ukraine. Okay, but at that point of time, we decided that it is time. Okay, so because every time we will face any kind of the barriers. Okay, and listing of every operational company is actually a way how to unlock value for the shareholders. Okay, for us, it was an opportunity to, let's say, somehow highlight Ukrainian economy and Ukrainian business on a global scale through the listing, okay, and somehow to create a bridge how international investment community, institutional or retail, can support Ukraine through investments in Kyivstar.
Well, let's talk about third quarter revenue. Third quarter revenue and EBITDA grew double digits. What were the drivers of that growth, Oleksandr?
As I mentioned, all three of them. So telco business grew 9%, and this is very much in line with our expectations. Okay, it's mainly driven by a slow ARPU increase that is actually driven by the multiplay increase of the multiplay penetration. Multiplay is a customer who is using telco service plus at least one digital service provided by Kyivstar. We see significant growth of the multiplay customers by 24.8%, okay, up to 6.6 million, and this is more than 30% of our 1 month active customer base. And the revenue attributed to the multiplay customers grew 44.5%. So somehow this combination of the telco services plus digital services, which is leading actually to the higher customer base engagement, okay, loyalty, drives our top line up, okay? And of course, as a standalone, digital business is growing much faster than the traditional telecom business. I mentioned already that our current existing digital business like entertainment, Kyivstar TV platform, like B2B enterprise services, big data, cloud, cybersecurity, okay? So our digital health business, Healthy, all of them demonstrated a growth around 89% year on year. And on the top, non-organic development and acquisition of the Uklon business produced this significant 5 times growth of the digital business up to 12%. And what we have a stable, almost double digit growing telco business. And on the top, we have a relatively big share of the new businesses that are growing with a CAGR more than 50% for the last few years.
Just more incredible numbers. Like I said, it's got to be really, make you feel really good about what you guys are doing. And I know the Kyivstar also backed its forecast for the full year. How does it look heading into 2026? And what will be the drivers of growth next year? And obviously, we all, feel for the terrible war that's been going on for years now. Does war in Ukraine have any impact on the company's business?
We expect telco business to grow more or less with the same pace, and this is in line with our declaration at the latest Capital Market Day, okay, that we will provide overall growth up to 15% year on year, okay. Significant share attributed to the reasonable telecom growth, which is driven by the growing consumption. Still, data traffic is growing around 20% year on year, despite a relatively high penetration of the LTE up to 65% of our current customer base. Okay, so I'm sure that we still have certain potential inside telco business, driven by the growing mobile data consumption and growing penetration of the fixed broadband services provided to the homes, to the families. This is our second business. We are market leader in the fixed broadband, and I see some kind of organic potential and non-organic potential through the market consolidation. This is the core business. But of course, the main driver of growth is our digital ecosystem. Okay, ride-hailing is growing strong double digit in a hard currency, which is more than 25% in a local currency year on year. Okay, so our entertainment business is growing 38% year on year. On the customer base, we are growing more than 50% on a like-to-like basis in a top line of the entertainment business. So all these digital ventures are actually being a bit smaller as a business in absolute term. Okay, they have contributed a lot into the overall growth of the business. And some kind of non-organic developments like direct-to-cell service in cooperation with SpaceX and AI development in cooperation with Ministry of Digital Transformation, I hope will provide us one more, let's say, boost, okay, in our overall business growth.
Never a bad thing to get a boost like that, and you explain that there's a good chance of that happening. I know beyond strong third quarter results, Oleksandr, Kyivstar has been busy striking partnerships, which obviously are very important, namely a big deal with MasterCard. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yes, somehow this is a very much technology-driven approach. The main aspect of our cooperation with MasterCard is actually driven by the direct-to-cell technology. Ukraine is a big country. It's actually one of the biggest European countries. Okay, so despite current 97% of the mobile data services coverage by population, we still have certain areas that are not covered by anyone. And of course, with the satellite technology, we can provide a simultaneous 100% coverage of the territory. But what is even more important, we can provide access to the modern telco infrastructure and services through the satellite coverage. And one of the aspects of our cooperation with MasterCard is actually application of the direct-to-cell technology to the M2M, to the Internet of Things technologies. It's just a simple, payment machine connected to the satellite can work everywhere without limitations. Okay, so and to serve all, even the smallest villages that exist in Ukraine.
Phenomenal stuff. Listen, it was an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Oleksandr. I want to thank you so much for your time, and nothing but the best going forward for you and Kyivstar.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation and for your, let's say, focus on our business. Thank you.
Of course, pleasure and honor was all mine. And that was the CEO of Kyivstar, Oleksandr Komarov. Their NASDAQ ticker is KYIV. Now let's send it back to the great Ryan Faluna.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you as always. Looks like we had a little bit of a production hiccup there, but that's okay. Appreciate you, Dan. Good interview. It is now time for everybody's been waiting for. Let's bring on Anne-Marie and see how she's doing. Anne-Marie, happy Tuesday. How you doing here today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. We're looking at a sell-off here. SPY's on a support area, and we had another internet outage affect a lot of stuff here today. But all things considering, we're actually having a pretty good day.
Yeah. So, I think what 13 said this morning was a pretty good tell. What's up with our security softwares glitching as much as they are? That's certainly something.
And my follow-up question to that was something else we discussed in the chat. Where are the redundancies?
Yeah.
How are things going down and affecting so many people? There should be some type of protection for that. Okay, you want to share your screen?
Yep. On it. I don't know if you remember Max Headroom. Do you remember Max Headroom?
Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but I can't place what you're about to reference.
Yeah. I see my video glitching, and there was a character called Max Headroom from back in the 90s. And, you think that I'm not old enough to be your mom, but I do have a 40-year-old daughter, so maybe I am. But anyways, in the 90s.
That's up to you, Anne-Marie. I don't have a comment on that.
Max Headroom used to have these videos where he glitched all the time, and so I apologize for the glitching. Not sure what's up with that, but
Anne-Marie, today is a day where we blame anything like that on Cloudflare.
All right,
it's clearly their fault. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, so we're looking at a pretty red day. Here's the thing: a lot of people panic in these kinds of environments, and they panic because they chase the crowd with big fast movers, and then when they begin to pull in quickly, they're caught as deer in the headlights. And so one of the things that we can learn from Benzinga Pro is really understanding that stuff when Ryan comes in the morning and he says, hey, listen, we're underneath this moving average. When he and 13 come together and talk about that sort of stuff, when the after hours weekly stuff comes in the Benzinga Pro chat rooms, this is really where you're going to get the best of support structures that keep you. And I just want to give a commentary for that, because the time that it's needed the most, a lot of people seem to shrink back because they're caught. Oh, what do I do? Everything's not going straight up. And so that's where we are. But this is natural. This is normal.
Indeed.
And, if you zoom out on a daily chart, we're still in a pretty big uptrend. And so today, let's take a peek first at NET, that is Cloudflare.
Okay.
And let's hope that this reboot is going to be good to my Thinkorswim, which has been a little weird, I have to say.
Did you have any issues that you noticed here this morning with Thinkorswim? I didn't, both on Phil's charting. None of my stuff seemed down today.
It just seems to be running on a lag, and it might be really because of whatever internet business I might have going on that's causing the little, glitch, as it were. So
good news is that your audio sounds fine. It is the video seems to be the only thing affected.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at net. And it's off the bottom, right? We're seeing a support lag. It's got very bullish seasonality into December. And so we remember what happened with CrowdStrike. It dipped, and then everybody went, oh, wait, everybody's using that. I better buy it. So let me give you my thought about what's going on in the market.
Sure.
We have the end of the month. It's on the wrong camera. Okay, hang on a second. Let me change my camera. Thank you very much. Let's see if that works. All right.
Actually, yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Now, Anne Marie, I'm confident saying that you're definitely not old enough to be my mom, without a doubt. After you change the camera, that discussion is.
Okay. All right. So my thought is, what we're doing right now is we've got to flush out of the weak hands, people who get super nervous because waiting in the wings are institutional buys. And those institutional buys are going to send us into the end of the year. Now, this, of course, is simply a supposition. And it could all go wrong, be sideways, whichever the case. But let's think about ways that we can trade this that will give us upside on the cheap. And if the downside continues, we just get a paper cut. How about that?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Smallest possible gain. Well, that's the risk I like.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a peek. Let's see where the walls are for December so far in the chains here. CrowdStrike not played a ton on the put side. A lot. Whoa. Some pretty good volume coming in, or it's been here at the 200 level. My suspicion is this 210 to let's see how expensive the 230 is to the 250. Okay, so that's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Now, there are a lot of ways we can dance around that, but let's tighten up the spread. Let's go 220 to, there's I was hoping. Do you hear the drilling?
No.
Oh, thank heavens. All right, so 220 to 230 to 240 gives us 65 cents. Yeah.
Now
good.
we would have to be, in order for this to work well, that would really have to get close to 230, right? Like we would need to close this trade when the price gets to around 230.
Yes. So interestingly, if this gets to 220, it's going to easily triple. Here's why. We are only $10, $12 away from this 210. So if it gets $10 away from 220, that's what the price is going to look like.
Got it.
Yeah. So the question is how quickly it rebounds under this environment. Remember, the CrowdStrike event was coming where everybody was buying hand over fist. But I suspect buybacks are going to continue to give us a floor, and portfolio rotations are going to give us a floor. Now, that doesn't mean that the small poo coins aren't going to give us, whatever. I could call them guano coins, but that's just those things are always they're going to collapse, right? These tight, small, nano names, very speculative price action events, they're going to collapse first. Liquidity is going to come out of the market. The biggest measure of liquidity that I use is Bitcoin. And because Bitcoin is struggling, I think that when that levels off, which may be in about $10,000 or $12,000 away, I suspect, then we've got ourselves something pretty interesting to look at. So that's my thought with net. If you happen to be the person that goes, you know what, I don't know what you're smoking, lady. The market's going to the floor. So you can choose something like, let's go see where support edges are. 170. Literally, you cannot hear that grinding?
No,
okay,
not at all.
Yeah, our neighbors are ripping up their floor. Actually, they came up to see our renovation and they went, oh my gosh, we got to get those guys. I just didn't think they'd start doing it right away. So I know. Turnabout's fair play, as they say. So let's see. We've got 180 to 170. Let's take a look at that. I am not of the mind that this is the side to take, but I am not a seer. And so, if you're into it, you can. And then the great thing is, because vol is so massive, you could easily do a butterfly and maybe pay for some of this stuff. Let's see if you can. We could go... Is 40 my middle strike there? No, 30 is my middle strike. I could do that. It gives me just over the $2 minimum that I like. It pays for both of the
Butterflies.
debits in the butterfly event, and Bob's your uncle. There's that.
Okay. So net, that's a good one. That's 3 trades there. I like it.
Yeah, good stuff.
I know
Good
you've got
stuff,
4 here, but 3 are the ones that I like.
Yeah,
certainly.
All right. So a couple of things going on. Of course, the behemoth in the room reports tomorrow.
Yep.
After the close, yeah?
Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
All right. I'll answer to sir. That works for me too. I think that's how they do it in the military anyway, whether you're sir or ma'am.
That was just force of habit, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at Netflix. I mean, NVIDIA. All right. So we know that this chart is well off of its highs. I mean, it's not dramatic at all, right? And the inventory accumulation is, let's measure the box. I think this box is going to be important, and I'll tell you why. Because if we lose the box, we're likely to have a measured move. So we've been accumulating above $178 for 3 months, 3.5 months. If we break this zone to the downside, think about what NVIDIA has to do to get the markets hot and heavy about them again. Think about how much expectation is on their shoulders. I think it's very dramatic.
It is. And the CEO didn't make it any better by saying that they're looking for like 54% growth. So I think the estimate's like low 40s, and he's talking about 54. So he's helping set that bar really high.
And so the question is, what gives? Is it, hey, look out, we're going to be better than you even expect? But see, they did that last time. Last time they blew the doors off all of the numbers, and the market still sold into it.
Yep.
So my expectation is that even if they blow the doors off of it, we're going to fade. And so what can we do? Here's the last gap fill fade event. Let's say it's 165 to 155 to 145. Let's see how that one prices. If we are, a gambling rambler, we could go 165. Whoopsie. 165, 155, 145. That's pretty expensive, I think, for something that's only got 3 days of motion. So let's go to the December, see if we can get a little cheaper. 65, 55, 45. No.
It's actually more expensive.
Yeah. So it's 93 cents for the downside pressure event. And let's take a peek at the seasonality. Let me show you this. Seasonality does not look outstanding for them into the end of the year. Seasonality looks pretty negative. It's got a little bit of wiki action here, and then this bottoming event that flows here. It could gap down and then move straight back up, but then it should gap down again. So my thought would be this. We've got vol, so a lot of pressure sitting in that space. When the chart comes in, it's going to report. When it reports, the very next day, you're going to look for, hey, is it moving down? Is it moving up? If it's moving up, you can sell a 55, 155, 145 put spread, and you'll use a little bit of margin, but it's going to cover your entire deficit here for paying for this trade. If you want to do this anyway before the expectation, literally you're going to get a credit. And if it does move down to 165 to 155 and then bounces, you're going to be in great shape. You want to close the top end of this butterfly as soon as it gets down into that 55 area, or you could close the whole thing, whichever one is up to you. For the trader who says, hey, can I get a one-way trade here? For that person, I would say you could try the 150, but I would also turn it into vertical spread and go 150 to 140. See if you can get anything out of that, because it does have some negative traction going into the edge of the year. But this is my thought. My thought is that they're sitting in a space where they have made it so hard to beat expectations that even if they do, I think we have the same sort of thing that happens, and that is a fade that should last a couple of weeks before the price action kicks off into the Santa rally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just put you on the spot here. Do you still think we're having a Santa rally?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still in that camp. Okay, great.
Yeah, I do. What I believe is happening right now, because I've seen it a dozen times literally, is they're shaking the trees, scaring the traders.
Mhm.
And then as soon as it gets into a really nice support zone, they're going to buy it hand over fist. We have got a terminal bid under this market, a terminal bid. And the reason that I say that is, look, this is the weekly chart. I think I used Tim's simple moving average here. Yes, the 20. We haven't even touched the 20 on the weekly. People are like, what's happening? Nothing. We're having mean reversion. We get to this 650, big fat round number, looks pretty good. You know, maybe it's because I've had about, 25 of these rodeos, but I literally can say this is garden variety pullback. We just aren't used to it because we've had these weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of upside, 1 week downside, weeks and weeks and weeks of upside. And then now we've got these 4 weeks and we're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
We're
And then
just
you, and then
having
you
mean
check.
reversion.
I like what you did here, though. You kind of looked at the longer picture and you're like, oh, yeah, we crashed all the way to where we were in the middle of September. Like
Exactly.
NBD, folks. No
And
big deal is what,
okay,
no big deal. I know.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I also noticed that that 20-week moving average, it looks like that's almost at 653.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know you had said 650 there, this is funny because when I opened up this morning and I did the SPY chart review, I said 653 is definitely going to be a level to watch. Then I brought on Red Dog. He said the same thing. Now I'm bringing you on. You said the same thing. I'm pretty sure 13 said the same thing. So great minds think alike in that case.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It could lose the level. When that happens, we want to watch for the reflexive bounce. If the bounce pulls, I have the same stat, 1121.
Yep.
I have the exact same stat. We were talking about it a week and a half ago. I said,
Yes, we
hey,
were.
all of my charts are showing 1120 as this wiggle. And so they're going to flush, scare the living daylights out of all the, chicken littles. And listen, I used to be that guy. I'm not making fun. I literally used to be that guy. But what I began to focus on, the only thing that never lies to you is price. Everything else is a spin on a bias. They might not overtly be lying, but only price tells us. And so that pullback, watch your media exposure on the big media spaces. It's why these areas like Benzinga Pro work so well. We focus on data and analytics. And that is what is driving our market in general, because literally we're run by machines now.
Yeah, no question. Yeah. Ryan Dietrich here, he does great work despite going to Ohio State. So I just had to slip that one in there. Sorry about that. And then also this 11/21 day, this is a Friday. How nasty would it be, or how much could you see this happening? Just a horrific looking Friday where everyone is chicken little. To use the term from Happy Hour, people are, quote, filling their diapers, end quote. And then on Monday, we just bounce back and the market says, I'm going to inflict as much pain. All you folks that took new shorts on Friday, get ready to eat your shorts, like the old Nickelodeon show. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's going to be very exciting. It really, really is. But it's only going to be exciting in a positive way if you've got your risk managed. And that is really critical. I saw Mackenzie, dang it, what's her name? Mackenzie Bezos, but her name's not Bezos anymore. She donated another $700 million of her fortune. I just love that gal. She's just like, means nothing to me. I'm going to die without it anyway. And so I just had to give her a little hat tip there. She's really just Now, I'm not sure if she's given it to all the best places that'll use it wisely,
Yeah.
but she sure is walking her talk. So
She's not single, is she?
no,
Asking
she
for a
got
friend.
married to
Okay.
No, she got married to a history professor or something, because she's a teacher or something too, or something. So yeah, she got married to this regular Joe history professor, and yeah, I wish them all the happiness in the world. That being said, this move, I don't know what their things are like, but let's take a look at Medtronic.
Okay.
So I know somebody at the top of the house in Medtronic, and I don't think this is insider information. So this is known by everyone at this juncture. So Medtronic had been sitting in this box. Good heavens. Look at this. Look at this box of accumulation, right? Monstrosity. It's actually all the way from 2022, and they just broke out. So what they did was spin off a division that competes directly with Dexcom. And that Dexcom are the guys that measure blood sugar and glucose levels.
Mm-hmm.
They have a revenue generating business by repeat patches. You know, you buy them over and over and over again for people who have, you know, type 1 or type 2 diabetes. Or if you're like me and you're getting old, you want to know when your blood sugar spikes so that you can make sure that you are alone instead of raging in front of someone. So, so what's happening to these guys is they are in the middle of a pretty nice breakout formation. They've been really working hard to turn their business around. They've got a lot of new wearables. They do a ton of things. Their main office is in Milan, and they really had to tighten up their ship. And so this breakout here is huge for them. If you're looking for a longer term trade with these guys, see, it's got a dip here into the edge of December, and they just reported yesterday. Okay, so that's good. So here's my thought. I like them bouncing as it is, but I suspect they're going to hold this edge at the very least. They're going to hold the 85 edge. So if you're thinking about something fun and you want to look into the future for these guys, I like Dexcom into January or February. They're in the health wearables. You could do a couple of interesting things. So the first is, here comes the back ratio. You could have a back ratio that gives you a little credit. It says, hey, if it dips down to 95, you're going to make $500, but you don't want it to dip down any further. Or if it moves up finally, you can go that doesn't give us too much here. Not too many people are selling this. They're just buying it outright. But you could, let's see what the 110, 120 does. Okay, the 110, 120 vertical is only 22 cents. So to me, if we're taking one of those into February, I really like that. I like them in general. And so this is a cheap way to get in on the medical wearable devices. And I know it's a strange place for me to talk about something. I don't normally do that sort, but Medtronic really has been struggling for years in terms of trying to get out of this awful piece. And they changed, I think in 2023, they changed their CEO, and it's just been lagging. They sold off their Dexcom division April of this year, and now it looks like they're really on the road to recovery. And if this is a 1-to-1, it's got a test point at 110. And if the vertical comes in, this could be worth, it would be the same as, if it comes into the 110, it would be the same as having the 100, 110 spread, and that's 350. So there's a lot of upside.
Yeah, there is
in that vertical.
Okay. Anne-Marie, really good stuff. The next time that you're available on Friday, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so the next time we're together, the NVIDIA earnings will be out of the way. So hopefully we'll be able to make some more sense of everything that's going on at that time and place.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right, Anne-Marie, take care of yourself. I hope you don't go crazy with the drilling and the rock banging and the jackhammers and such behind you. But have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on the webinar tonight. We actually had a couple of people sign up for that this morning.
Awesome. See you then.
All right, look forward to it. That is Anne-Marie Band, folks. She'll be back on Friday. We're done here for today. I'm going to send you over to Paul Meeks right now for the tech tune-up. As mentioned, we are going to do a webinar later. We're going to have Anne-Marie back on Friday, and 13 and I will be back tomorrow. Probably also have an appearance by Tim Melvin. I'm going to send you over to Paul Meeks right now. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused.